it is going to end up being very, very close. In fact, ending in a tie.
Now that comes back to a point you made. Oh, and we've lost Guanyin. GG's. You made the point that it's not only important for you to survive an extra turn to get higher placement, get more points. It's important also for you at times to knock out your opponents when you have the opportunity. I don't know if doubling the cat altar there would have given us a chance to put some damage into give free rollbacks board that turn, but it looked like it might have.
Yeah. That one can be tough to decide, right? Because Holly's Gold, seeing that you have a lot of health and them seeing that Get Free Rollback still has a lot of health, maybe wasn't going for the final amount of damage, so thought it was better to play the long game here. These decisions are very interesting sometimes. And here we go. We have a Dr. Frank now, which um, okay, it felt like maybe that was the one place we would end up, but mostly it just feels like we're still pair gaming.
Yeah, I was kind of laughing when I saw the Sea Witch pair show up in the shop, and I thought, hey, are we supposed to take that now too?
Yeah.
It looks like we're hoping to maybe Grimm's twist up a triple, deciding not to. Gonna go ahead and throw a Blizzard for the extra couple of stats on our mages. Okay. It's time for Dr. Frank to join the board.
Only treasure being Sunstone.
Well, now we're looking at Synesthesia's treasure set, and they're not high tier treasures. Looks like this lobby just did not hit a lot of big treasures fast, except for, our Fisher King Aladdin combo, which, if you're going to get a combo, would you like a level 5 treasure and something to double up your level 5 treasure? I think, yeah, I probably, normally speaking, would be into that. I think I'd take that deal.
Yeah, I think Give Free Rollback right now would take that deal. Okay, so we are going to play the Blizzard, which if that chair is still on board, we'll have the shield popped. We do see a couple of Dr. Frankensteins on our opponent's board. All right, let's see. Let's get into it.
Cannot help but feel like we're a little bit behind at the moment. No new treasures for Synesthesia, but I feel like our board just looks like a smaller version of their board at the moment.
Yeah, it does. And then our succubus attacks into the chair, which is it's just the worst attack. It takes out the chair, but that's all it does. It doesn't actually get use out of its effect. Okay, well, our opponent's archdemon is summoning a lot of things. Ours, however, got taken out at the beginning of the fight, so it doesn't do a lot. This is not looking good. That's potentially a lot of damage incoming as well.
Fortunately, we cannot get all the way back to that golden Dr. Frank in the back corner, because that's how you see 20 damage come through most of the time, is you get a Dr. Frank at the wrong time during the combat. We have a treasure, Yuck. We have a treasure.
Okay, how good is said treasure? Cinnamon Stone, Hurricane, and Cat Altar. Looks like
Cat
we're
Altar's
considering.
not bad.
Yeah, it's interesting. We have Treasure Hamster, so 2 of those treasures are level 6s, and we snap pick the level 5.
Yeah.
Which it makes sense. It's the one we want out of those. It's just a little ironic, I would say.
Oh yeah, it definitely Alanis Morissette is somewhere thinking about what just happened here. We now have our own shiny Dr. Frank, and we didn't really want to play 2 different ones, so we might as well combine right now. Excalibur Holy Grail Orchestra.
Okay, interesting. Excalibur can be quite good when you're summoning additional characters. Let's see. I'm curious the pick here.
Yeah.
Holy Grail maybe was hovered.
Yeah, Holy Grail has been clicked already, but it looks like maybe we're taking. Are we taking stats now? No, we're playing for the future. So again, you talked about placement and points. I don't think we pointed out. Sundiata has been knocked out now, so we're in the top 4. GG's. The folks up here are getting a better point cut off, because you get a slight bump up in points when you go from 5th to 4th, and then you get another slight bump up when you go from 4th to 3rd, and then another slight bump up from 2nd to 1st. But folks here right now are going to be taking home a good number of points. I think give free roll back there, though, in that selection, right? You debate Orchestra could give me, it was proccing 9 times, so a decent little buff across the board. Holy Grail might be able to take us into a first place position if we don't die this combat. I don't know if we needed the Orchestra to be okay here, though.
Yeah, I mean, the other treasures had some immediate benefit, but was it going to be relevant? Even if it is useful, are the extra stats that you're gaining from an Excalibur or an Orchestra going to make the difference in winning or losing a fight, or even tying? It looks like Holy Grail being the choice. It looks greedy, but sometimes you need to greed. And if we make it to another turn, which this is a rough start to this fight, but if we do make it to another turn, that gives us more access to treasures. And it feels like we need that. So we do greed that. That's not going to pay off for us. GG to give free roll back. We'll hop over and we'll spectate the remainder of the game from Justius, who is the player that just knocked us out.
Tough game for Give Free Roll back there, and I can't really point out anything that that the play didn't seem correct, so to speak. I know correct is a weird word, but you know what I mean. Give Free Roll back played very intelligently, had as good an opportunity to hit any of the outs that they needed, and the shops just did not cooperate there.
We saw firsthand the struggle to complete your triples and find treasures was real. It just the shops just weren't cooperating. I think we navigated that fairly well, considering, maybe even very well considering. It just felt awkward to me at all stages of the game.
Now that's interesting too, in that Give Free Roll back got a third there, right? So now we're top two, and Justius already lost the extra life here on Savitri. Yep. So we are playing without a parachute. We got no safety net. We got a battle song sword, it looks like. So we got a lot of extra stats, and that was what helped put us over the top against Give Free Roll back last combat. But I don't know that I'm feeling comfy when I'm looking at Tiku Wabu's board across the way. Looks like Tiku Wabu finally put the cat altar in the last slot and is playing for stats now, but still has that Holly's Gold, huh?
Yeah. We've seen a lot of evil characters in this one late into the game. We're looking at it here on the board of Justice. Give Free Roll back had a full board of evils. The other player remaining here in the top two, same thing. Are we gonna get to that Cersei's Cup this turn? We have a lot of money in hand.
We do. I kind of almost got the sense that maybe we're locking it, and if we don't get knocked out here, then we start next turn and we're feeling really confident about it. Tiku Wabu's board, you can look at the summon chain coming out of hand with the doubled up cat altar. Those tokens are going to get a lot of stats throughout the course of the fight. We do have some pretty good numbers, and we have a refill of our own. I don't really know how to gauge this combat just from eyeballing the scout.
It can be hard to tell when you introduce summons, especially Dr. Frank summons, because you don't know exactly what they're going to be. This could be our final fight, however. Jussie is trying to hang on.
Yeah, this is kind of Fairy Tale Fables in a nutshell to me. It's a combination of stats, summon, scam. Your end boards never really look like just one thing. You're always doing more than one thing on your end game boards. And we're seeing the fight start. We're making a few Demon Harbingers. We got a few more Demon Harbingers to make on both sides of the board here. Now the Archdemon's hitting in. Nope, not yet. It's still Demon Harbinger mode. Now, what I'm curious about, the stats are starting to add up from that double cat altar. To the point where some of the tokens might be able to take out the Blackbeard. And we don't get great value for Tiku Wabu off the Dr. Frank. Not a lot of summons made, but just too many stats overall.
Yeah, a lot of things, and those things with a lot of stats. That's, as you mentioned, that's a combination that you will see in Fairy Tale Fables, and it's a tough one to deal with. Justice not able to deal with it this time around. So GG to everybody in game one.
Yeah, well played. GG. Tiku Wabu taking first in game one. Like you said, we saw a lot of evil boards. We saw a lot of scam. We saw a lot of high demon and archdemon energy. Kind of interesting this round one.
Yeah, it was interesting. So we're gonna take a real quick break. We'll let the players get a breather, maybe grab a drink. We'll be right back in just a couple of minutes. Okay, welcome back, everyone. We're back after a very quick break as we saw Tiku Wabu take down game one, earn 10 points towards the 19 needed to become live. So we will spectate Tiku Wabu in this upcoming match, game number two. I want to remind everybody before we get into that again, if you want to take advantage of the crystal code, exclamation crystals in chat, and it'll give you the code that you can use in game to get yourself some crystals. And who doesn't like free stuff, Horse?
Oh, absolutely. And Yuck, if you want to be up to speed and know when events like this are happening so that you can get your hands on those crystals, because there may be some folks who aren't even here today, but if you want to keep up to date, exclamation point Discord in chat, hop in the Fairy Tale Fables Discord and get involved in the conversation if you'd like. A lot of people talking strategy and sharing game clips and what have you. It's a nice little active community.
Yeah, 100%. It's a fantastic community. I must say so myself. And okay, as soon as we can get the players organized, I'm gonna be ready. If you're ready, Horse.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I think production.
Okay.
Go ahead and let them know to hit the button, and yeah, let's not have any further ado. So Yuck, we talked about it already. Give free roll back going back to back to back first place last month to lock things up. Tiku Wabu today says that's not happening. Tiku Wabu taking that first crown is definitely positioned best at the moment.
Yeah, the question now is, can Tiku Wabu go back to back to back? And we're gonna get a first-hand perspective and see how this game plays out to see if Tiku Wabu can do exactly that.
And now looking at the placements, Tiku Wabu with 10 points, Justius with 8, Give Free Roll Back with 7, and then Synesthesia with 5. That's our top 4. It's starting to add up, even though it's not that many points on the board yet. And we're looking at Demeter, Jean, Trophy Hunter, and Toy Dino again. Repeat appearance, although for a different player this time.
Yeah.
I wonder what Tiku Wabu likes. What do you like?
Well, looks like Tiku Wabu hovering Jean here, which is interesting to me. I don't have a strong opinion. We did see Toy Dino picked by Give Free Roll Back, but there were different options to go along with that. So I don't know that Toy Dino would be a priority, but can be very good in the early game, as we mentioned. Curious to see if we do stay locked in on Jean here, however.
Now, Tiku Wabu, as we know, and if you were paying attention to the broadcast during the last combat when we were spectating Justius, and then you saw the I don't know what you call it, but the anime hero portraits pop up versus Tiku Wabu has that crown cosmetic, as you can see on the screen right now. Tiku Wabu has done this before, has managed to win this tournament in the past. So interesting. I don't know that Jean would have been my pick here. I probably would have been looking maybe at Trophy Hunter or Toy Dino personally. But Tiku and wow, Satan Worship on the Bruni with a Mischievous Imp starter. That is just too much, even with the hero attack to clean up. Dealing damage on turn 1.
Yeah, I said the sheep is a decent amount of stats for turn 1, but it turns out it's not enough. Sometimes that's the way it plays out, especially when you face Bruni, the Bruni hero power coming into play right away.
All right, so we're going to give our sheep an extra attack here because of the Gene ability, which will get stronger when we level up. But for right now, we're just getting a little extra attack on the board, and it looks like we are full sheep and dwarfy mode for the time being. I don't know that naturally combos into something here next turn, but it's good for right now.
I mean, I'd say it's just numbers for right now, which in the early game, numbers are, pretty meaningful. A lot more, I'd say, than synergies. Of course, if you can pick up treasures, you'd love to do that. This is an interesting shop, too, because there's a hot potato as well as a free roll. That's a fun combination. You can grab the hot potato, see a new shop. We might just take both pairs as well, but the hot potato does give some options.
Taking a look, we've got Justius on Aladdin over here, and now our sheep has good stats for the turn, but nothing too salacious there. It's a little too hard to get damage through on a captain or a hero that doesn't have a lot of early game going on.
Okay, so we do grab the hot potato. It looks like there's some thought going on as far as whether we're just going to play this shop with the two pairs. It looks like that will be the choice. Why not buy and sell the hot potato? You get your money back.
I was going to ask what the odds were that we just bought and sold the hot potato, and I'm so happy we did because that's something that I like to do.
Oh, interesting to me that we sold the hot potato before rolling here. I guess just certain that we were gonna want to take something out of this shop either way. Although I look at this shop and I don't know what that one thing is.
Yeah, it might be the item now, weirdly.
I could see that. Yeah,
Small sword making these dwarfies a little bit better. I don't know. It's hard not to buy characters every chance you can when your board still is not full because a character on the board often is doing a little bit more than an item on the board.
I could have seen the board farm boy as well and put your dwarfies behind it. Maybe could have been an option, but yeah, that did not feel like a great shop that we rolled into.
Well, synesthesia on Tinkerbell with a couple of dwarfies already, and that sprout got too big. So I talked about wanting to make sure I filled up all my slots with characters. Synesthesia, not worrying about that, just putting too many stats on the board for turn 3.
Yeah, and we've lost a couple of fights, and both of them were so close. Matter of fact, only one health remaining in both of those, so that's tough. We still have plenty of health at 24, but we're getting chipped down a little bit, a little earlier than you would like to take any damage if you can avoid it. And in this shop, we see a Romeo, Rapunzel's Prince, a Cursed Rose. Anything you're saying that you want specifically here?
Well, I mean, you're not excited about a turn 4 owl. You're not excited, but there is the Cursed Rose Owl combo in the shop. I don't know that we can get some sunbathing going. All right, not opting to start doing Cursed Rose shenanigans and growing an owl from scratch. We'll just take the stable boost ability of Galahad.
Yeah, I think the boost ability is nice. Also unyielding, right? It's not a huge deal right now, but on Gene, maybe you can manage to give some extra stats to that on upcoming turns. So it seems like a reasonable turn. It feels like we're maybe still a little behind curve, maybe not much. And I don't know how we're going to match up against this next opponent, but it feels like we're just slightly behind. Maybe one big turn could swing that for us.
Well, the other thing we got going on is our hero ability just powered up a little bit, right? So we did want to make sure we bought some 3s to start buffing. Galahad is a good stat catcher, right? Now our hero ability, instead of just giving an attack, is giving, what is it, 2 attack and 1 health? I believe it grows at a 1/1. So now level 3 characters we buy are going to make that Galahad's unyielding even better. That's kind of nice, but it is awkward buying a gold laying goose on that turn. And here we are staring at what looks like kind of another awkward shop to me.
Yeah, well, I think it is awkward because of the way the gold works out. You want to take this triple here in this treasure, but that leaves us at 4 gold. And the item costs 2, the characters all cost 3, aside from the farm boy, which you probably don't want in this situation. But even if you did that, it would leave you with 2 gold, and that would be a little bit awkward. So it just feels like not getting the opportunity to take full advantage of your gold. I mean, what are you going to do? Cobbled roads is a nice pickup, however.
Yeah, I'm looking at and wondering, do we ever want a yellow bark here? It does buff the Galahad a little bit. We don't have a lot of health across the board, so we can't take massive advantage of that right now. I'm half wondering if maybe we wanted to find oh, okay, we're gonna buy sell, but are we locking the shop then? Is that the game plan? Is that why we cleared the slot? Anyway, I think we might have wanted a sunstone if we saw that yellow bark in the shop, but it didn't show up in the treasure select, and here we are just kind of making a 6/4 Galahad because it's the best we got.
Yeah, I mean, it is a good character to get extra stats on, so we'll take that, I suppose. And possibly we cycled. We did not lock the shop. Possibly we cycled just for the hero ability, is what I'm guessing.
I think you're right. Well, how about a pair of Galahads? That makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I'd say that'd be a great pickup. And then with cobbled roads, we can decide if we want anything else before seeing another shop.
Yeah, what about a box of cats?
Yeah, with some boost stats, it can be useful potentially. It doesn't really fit anything else we're doing, but that doesn't mean that it's not something that can find a place on the board here.
Well, Galahad comes down, cats get skipped. Are we going to pair the pirate cook? We have no way to take advantage of the stats that's splashing into hand right yet, but it is
I see a
another
chameleon.
treasure angle. Oh, you're right. You're right. Wait, what am I talking about? There's a
I
chameleon.
mean,
Let's buy the
s-
chameleon. We should buy the
sorry.
chameleon.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, but I saw it. I didn't know if you saw it because you weren't talking about it.
No, there was a
And
chameleon and we needed to know. I'm sorry,
okay,
Duck.
all right. Well, luckily Tikuwabu saw it and threw it on board. This is another situation that we saw last game with Give Free Rollback. It's 3.2, exactly the same turn we saw this with Give Free Rollback. And in that case, we did see the chameleon slay and transform into a Tanuki. It looks like Tikuwabu is putting it in slot 1 and
We're
buffing
going
it with the
for it.
spell. Yeah, looks like we are trying to get it to slay this turn.
No doubt about it. We are going for it, and we're actually potentially going to get to see what it becomes. Because there are a couple of things on Give Free Roll's back front line that don't have enough attack to take it out. Actually, it attacks
Okay.
100% of the time if
Yeah.
this board stays the same because of the parrot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm anxious to see what it turns into.
Oh, and the parrot not even hitting the princess. That might be good. That might be awkward. Oh, the chameleon
Okay.
right back at you, friend.
Okay. Interesting. I said we saw that last game from Give Free Roll back on 3.2. We see it again, the chameleon on 3.2 and in slot 7 both times for Give Free Roll back. So a lot of chameleons getting played, which I love to see it. We pick up a hardworking milk woman. So I don't know if we're going to build into that or not, but it looks like it's going to play on the board for now. What else is going to play out of this shop along with it?
Yeah, take the hot potato. That doesn't hurt anybody's feelings ever. How about a Radiant Fairy? We got a couple
Radiant
of
Fairy?
boosters.
Detective Apprentice is something we saw on this turn last game, prioritized by Give Free Roll back. I think both of those could be reasonable options, although I definitely would like to see the Radiant Fairy played here.
Well, I'm also liking that Radiant Fairy quite a bit because we just grew again, right? We just went to level 4, so now our gene effect is even bigger. Tikuwabu is going to opt to go ahead and take it. And unfortunately, it buffs our hardworking milkwoman, which is an unyielder, but we don't have any way to get food onto the milkwoman to really take advantage of the boost effect.
Right. Well, we did get rid of the potato to get us back up to 3 gold, so it seems like maybe we're considering something out of this shop. With the slot that we've left open, I wonder if that ends up being the Detective Apprentice or maybe the Husky could have been an option here.
For some reason, I was thinking we were looking at the Star Girl,
Could have
just
been.
ranged with the gene effect, and we know that we're going to be throwing buffs at random on our board, and it's the Husky. It is
Yeah,
the
I
Husky.
could see a case. I could see a case for any of those 3, and maybe Tikuwabu was taking the time, did wait till late in the turn to pick up the Husky, maybe was considering those options.
Let's see what Ayane Ares looks like. Not a ton of attack right now. More cat summons and buffs from boosters. Ends up fairly even, but that Husky is too big.
Yeah, those Husky stats, it comes onto the board, and for the turn that you can first start to see it in the shop on 4.0, it's quite large in comparison to the other things that you'll be seeing straight out of the shop. And Ayane just simply can't deal with it. Ayane down to, I believe it was 9 health here. So our lowest health total that we're seeing in this current lobby. We'll see if Ayane can find a way to stabilize and then recover from there. Okay, so are we gonna Grimm's Twist? Yeah, we are gonna Grimm's Twist. We weren't very happy with that milk woman.
Well, we might not have loved the milkwoman, but I don't know what a Tengu. Tengu is not ever bad, right? Being able to snipe important backliners could be good, especially with those two-faced demons back there. So two-faced demon, new card with the most recent patch. That is just an aura board buff. Something you can buy. You can splash it on any given board. It's just going to add stats to your board. So taking that out to start the fight, we would love that. I kind of think we want to triple this Galahad or something here. We need some more information, it feels like.
Another Radiant Fairy would, I think, be an incredible pickup as well. Yeah. We don't see it in this shop. I don't know what we're considering here specifically, but it looks like we're stopping to think. Oh, okay, interesting.
Now, what might Vendi open up for us? We are going to buy all of the golden fluffs in the entire video game. Oh, okay, and just making good use of our money, turning 1 gold into 2 for next turn.
Okay, yeah, picking up the hot potato, which is nice. Um, okay, I mean, this is still a very strong board, and a Tengu that can get to that back row. This is a back row that looks like it doesn't want to be bothered. Well, so that's good for us if we can, in fact, disrupt it.
I like you laughing at that because there's no back row that enjoys being bothered, but this back row in
Well,
particular, you're right.
it looks like it just wants to be left alone. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, those demons have two faces. They don't want to look at you. A couple more summons for Warship this time around. It still looks visually like we have way too many stats over here, but those summons are doing a good job making it a little more even. A little bit of damage and golden damage done. That dwarfy in the back on purpose.
yeah, it was relatively close. Our opponent had played experience there, so they had a lot riding on the outcome of that fight.
Well, and there's your second Radiant Fairy. Love pairing that. Do we want to
Yes.
do a little experience of our own here now? Well, look at the cheap Vendy too.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
This whole
I
thing
mean,
kind of maths out in my mind.
yeah, it does. It's interesting. However, I do want to pick up this Vindy, but also as you level to 5, refreshing the shop. Yeah, here we go. I actually
Yeah.
think I like this better, refreshing the shop when you have some extra gold to work with. Only 2 currently, but we have some things that we can get rid of to free up some gold here. Golden fluff. Hey, can we do some economy things? What are we doing here?
I mean, Golden Fluff, we also have the Tailor, which maybe not perfect right this moment, but then also the Nocturne is kind of interesting too. You could splash that down in slot 7 and hope you can start getting some slays.
Oh, that's a powerful board that we're looking at.
I think
That's
hoping we're getting slays there might be a little hopeful.
yeah, that was a high demon enhanced board. Pretty early to see one of those.
Definitely showing the power of scouting by doing a double check over there. Now we're lining up to buy something here. Nothing in the shop looks to me like it's going to take out that board we just saw.
Right. Well, we're shuffling some things around, taking some time to think about it. Brave Little Tailor, maybe? Okay,
Yep.
we are going to pick up a Brave Little Tailor.
All right, that makes sense to me. Of
Yep.
all the things that we could have purchased right here, Brave Tailor is probably going to take something out. And those stats were definitely 2-for-1 trade kind of stats. If we can catch a Radiant Fairy buff on the Brave Tailor, we're feeling pretty spiffy maybe.
Now the question is, can the Tengu get to the High Demon? I mean, it can get to it potentially, but will it? Will it choose that as the target? That's what Tiku Wabu is hoping.
And expectedly, that board got even stronger. Tengu didn't even get to attack.
It did not.
Luckily, we took off all the golden units, but that's a big chunk of damage.
It is a big chunk of damage, and that's Justius that we're seeing with that very strong board, who finished second in the last lobby. So, off to a good start already in this one. We do still have all 8 players remaining.
Yeah.
As everybody will be on level 5 now. Let's see if we can improve our board. That's a shop with no 5 drops in it.
Yeah, you got the two-faced demon, but that doesn't look super appealing at this moment. Man, what about pairing a Tailor? Might not be half bad.
When in doubt.
It's not the most exciting thing, but it is still just a Tailor.
Yeah, it's good. And if you don't have other things going for you, and I will point out, we're seeing something similar that we saw last game with Give Free Roll Back, and that's a lack of treasures. We do have a level 2 treasure, which is what Give Free Roll Back had, and we haven't been able to find another one. I wouldn't say full pair gaming, but we've had some pairs on board for some turns now, and we're not pulling it together.
Looking at that Uther now, thinking about something with boost because we have a couple of boosters, but it's not the strongest starting point to jump off, so I guess opting not to here. I was kind of curious about, we rolled by a couple of Mad Oblivium Seekers, which we could have put in slot 2 to make sure that our slot 1 Tailor got a chance to attack. I might have been kind of interested in those, but Tiku Wabu wasn't really looking for that. And again,
Yeah.
Uther, a Haymaker is not perfect right now. It's like you're saying, we're just kind of not exactly what you said, but it feels kind of like we're in our awkward teenage years to me here.
Sure. Yeah, it does. Maybe we're going to get to the Haymaker. I have to wonder, had we not taken damage at all, or even possibly if we had just taken less damage, last fight if we would have considered something like an Uther, something that is a little more speculative, can have a really nice payoff in the end game, but isn't immediate value necessarily. But that damage really changes the way you have to look at this one, especially as we talk about how every placement matters as we do pick up the Haymaker. Every placement matters for points, and we're facing the first place opponent in this lobby. It looks like they're still at full health even.
Well, that Haymaker had to be the best pile of stats we could have possibly added this turn, right? Because it's splashing onto Radiant Fairies. It's decent, but it's not amazing. But our Husky's going to start saving some food. And we don't really mind that being the Tengu attack from our opponent. That's actually probably the best one for us. And we're going to take this. Oh, no, we're going to tie it with our hero attack. I thought we were over the top with the Taylor attacks.
Yeah, both Taylors getting value there was big.
Yeah.
So as you mentioned, we'll be able to retain some food stats now. It's just with one Haymaker, it's not necessarily super relevant, but it was a nice pickup there in that turn, as that ended up being a pretty close fight.
Probably really only worked well because we had 2 Radiant Fairies. The Radiant Fairies are helping us quite a bit at this moment. They're not going to help us forever, but at this moment in time, we like having them.
Speaking of like having, we like having a second Haymaker here. So combination of scam and stats. The Haymakers and the Radiant Fairies giving some stats to the board. The Taylor's trying to nullify our opponent's stats. Oh, wait a minute. Portal Wardrobe? Come on. I just said we have some stats.
Yeah, I love the wardrobe. I kind of can't blame Tikawabu for passing it by in this spot.
Yeah.
Interestingly, this game now has shifted to me. We were talking about last game with give free roll back and how we were waiting. I think I understand the game plan now. Now we just need to find the right pieces, but we do have a setup to really take advantage of a instant Nero. We could do something with a Fisherman Flounder pretty quick. With double Haymaker, we actually feels to me like we have an angle on this game now.
Yeah, and speaking of interesting, picking up a tracking dog, which I think is because of what you're referencing, the potential to find the Nero as soon as next turn. Then, if you just have a dog already in hand that you can throw on board, it's going to be quite strong. So it does feel like that's the direction we're hoping to get to. We'll see if we can, but dare I say it, we are again pair gaming.
Wow, look at that owl in slot 1 with, it's going to be over 40 health by the time we see it. Those are some spooky looking birds. So we're going to need, hopefully, to get a little bit of fight RNG on our side for a fight or two, because it seems like we need just a brief grace period. And then if next turn we can hit some big stuff, we'll be off to the races. But if we take a big chunk of damage here, we might just have to scam.
We did play Lightning Bolt here, so maybe that'll help us out a little bit in this upcoming fight. And I mean, these Taylors always are going to be a potential problem regardless of what your opponent is doing. We'll see if they end up being enough against what looks like a formidable board.
Doing a good job scouting every board in the lobby right now. And all the birds moved up front. Lightning Bolt didn't seem to do anything. It's all coming down to the Taylors, but we kind of knew it would. Now this Taylor's big enough it's going to be able to take that mermaid hit. However, not quite big enough to survive. We are one-shot range here.
Yeah. Yeah, 8 health is not
triple and a good boy.
Yeah, but what do you want to do with your gold? It's not that you don't want that triple, but can you justify taking it? I mean, I don't know, maybe a Chrono Crystal
because
or
Chrono
something?
Crystal exists, you got to take it.
Yeah, I'm with you, and there it is. It's got to be a snap pick here. I agree. I think that's the reason you even take that. Otherwise, I wonder if the gold is really worth Fisherman and the Flounder potentially makes its way onto this board.
And we can't die right now.
Yeah.
Now it's a little awkward. I don't think those Radiant Fairies are going to end up in the back.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the positioning, which can be tricky with some of the things that we have here.
Actually, this is amazingly awkward, isn't it? Because you want the Haymakers before the Fishermen, but that means the Haymakers would have to be up front. And that does kind of mean that the Radiant Fairies need to be in back, but you need something good in back to catch the buffs too. So
yeah, if you could choose the way the fight was going to play out, it would maybe be a little easier to figure out how to position, but that's not how this game works. So you have to try to, make the most and hope for the best. And yeah, okay, so still trying to figure it out.
Well, I think you could Galahad in 7, Fisherman in 6, and then stick one of those haymakers in the back row if you felt like it. But
Yeah.
then that would give you a slot up front for one of the Radiant Fairies.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could potentially get a Radiant Fairy to get knocked out before the Good Boy and hope that the stats went onto the Good Boy, that seems like it could have some merit. Also, if the Good Boy is later in getting knocked out, you have some control over where those stats go because it doesn't buff everything. It's a limited number of buffs, so the fewer characters you have remaining, you have some control over it. So this is interesting. No matter how you decide to position, it is tricky.
Well, the other thing that's really messing with our positioning is we want to play this Tengu. There is a Dr. Frank on our opponent's back line, and we want to
Mhm.
have a chance to knock it out before the fight even starts. So that's just making the whole thing even more confusing.
Yeah, it is. Good call. All right, we'll see if we can do that. Can we take out the Dr. Frank, or are we going to have to deal with all those extra summons at the end of this fight?
Oh, there is no
No,
Dr.
actually,
Frank. We're
no Dr.
fighting
Frank. No.
a similar food board. Our tailors are on the bench. Kaisops are in play. We snagged a tailor, so that won't get to go.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big Tengu attack, taking out a Taylor early. And okay, well, it is a little awkward when the Radiant Fairy is the last one on the board. That is not unlikely to happen from slot 7. But as we
It's
talked
got to get
about
up
the
front now. We're
yeah,
gonna combine this thing, right? It's got to get up front. We got to find a way to
yeah,
get this thing on the front line.
yeah. I mean, we've been talking about the awkwardness of the position. I don't know if it's awkward to take Pirate Map here. Weird Compass always very tempting to take as well. But we're gonna go straight with the Pirate Map. There's a Narcissist with that Pirate Map we just picked up.
Yeah.
There's also a Good Boy. I
Good
wonder if
boy
we're gonna
pair.
consider the Narcissist here.
With 4 gold left, I mean, we might need, let's say the Chrono Crystal breaks, we might need something like the Narcissist to refill that treasure slot and then triple the Good Boy to get value, or triple the Good Boy into the, we, huh. Normally speaking, I don't think I would be looking at it, but in this particular spot, it
Well,
makes more sense, maybe?
it's tricky. We do have the Chrono Crystal, so we know we're going to get at least one more turn. That being said, we do have the Haymaker pair lined up. We do have the Good Boy pair lined up, so we could just hunt for those instead. What's going to be a better use of our gold? Tikuwabu is going to decide to play a spell and then refresh the shop,
What about that
as opposed to
trusty
taking the Narcissus.
fork? Trusty Fork says, entrance, give my wearer 3/3 food stats. You could throw that on the Good Boy with just a little bit of remaining money. Trade out 2 things for the fork. It's not that much, but
Well, for now, the Radiant Fairy is still in slot 7. I'm with you. I'm very curious if it's going to stay there or not. It feels very uncomfortable having it there. It doesn't mean that's not where it's going to end up, however.
we just keep ending up in a situation where we want to keep one of our scam pieces in play, and it's really making all the other positioning really awkward.
Yeah.
This Radiant Fairy has to be up front, right? It has to be. It just has
Well,
to be.
there are pros and cons, right? You want the Haymaker before the Fisherman and the Flounder if you can do that.
Well, it might even get run into first and then share its stats with the Good Boy,
Yeah.
which then gets amplified back again. Oh man, there's a lot that you lose if it's in slot 7.
Yeah, and do you ever consider like Good Boy, then Fairy, then the other Good Boy? So the Good Boy can buff the Fairy, and then the Fairy can have a chance of buffing the other good. I don't know. I mean, it's tricky sometimes to
Ooh.
figure out positioning. It's a fun puzzle.
Someone has a spell prism. I don't know who. I saw it just briefly as we were scouting over multiple boards.
Ooh.
All right.
All right.
Stats wise, it looks good to me at a initial eyeball here. We got the double Good Boy, and the Good Boy buffed the Good Boy, so that always works in our favor. Oh, Taylor, though, from the Succubus, making it a little bit spicy. Now, Give Free Roll Back has effectively the same health we do.
Ooh, here we go.
Whoa.
So that on Ares was Ayane, I believe,
Yeah.
who is going to be our opponent here. And this is good for us. We get our level 7 treasure.
Wow.
Holy Grail is tempting.
Shield is always tempting, too. Once
Yeah.
Ugly Duckling, probably not that tempting, but Holy Grail is just, oh my goodness, right into a Good Boy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one way to do it.
All right, well, Holy Grail was tempting, like you said.
All right, are we picking up Pirate Safe? Okay, yeah, I was gonna say the interesting thing that could come into play when you take something like Pirate Safe is you don't really want to replace the Chrono Crystal anytime soon. But I guess the Holy Grail will create a spot for another treasure once we use it up. So that's probably not gonna be awkward anytime right away. Let's yeah, let's see. We're gonna probably still be in good shape with the Chrono Crystal active after this upcoming fight. We haven't seen what that board looks like specifically. I want to keep an eye out for the spell reflector that you saw. I missed it, but I'm curious who has that.
Yeah, I am too. I'm curious who has it and how healthy they are, because it's the sort of treasure that can stabilize you, but not if you get it too late and if your board isn't kind of good for it already. If you get it and you're in okay shape, you can then become in great shape pretty quick. If you get it and you're in bad shape, it might not be enough. So I'm curious.
Yeah, it's so much fun though. So
Oh, it's my favorite. I think that I don't know. Honestly, I think 1,000 gold is my favorite treasure in the whole game. I love 1,000 gold turns so much, but Spell Reflector would have to be pretty close behind.
okay, well, we're down to 25 seconds left in this turn. There's not a lot for us to do other than scout the lobby, and we see it's Justius with the spell reflector.
It's
Who
a
is
lad
the
yuck.
it's the healthiest player in the lobby as well.
That's an Aladdin Spell Reflector. They're putting that in the last slot and casting a million spells and then moving their slots around to start the fight. And then next turn, they'll cast another million spells. That board scales. It has already scaled. It will always scale from here.
Right. Okay. Maybe we're going to want to keep these Brave Tailors on the bench for a potential matchup that comes in the future against that Aladdin. I don't know. For now, we win a fight that we expected to win here. Let's see. We still have this Holy Grail active. Let's see if we find anything to use it on this turn.
And now there are 6. We've reached top 6.
Yes, indeed.
I mean, these lobbies are tough. They move fast. We saw last game, the first person was eliminated on turn 9. This game, everybody made it into double-digit turns, but we're kind of already late game mode at this point. And if you're not on something, someone else is, and you're just hoping you don't bump into them.
Another good boy, maybe?
I mean, whenever I have one, I always want 2.
Yeah, if I have is 2, the third one too much? Looks like for Tiku Wabu, it's not too much. Speaking of spell reflector.
Oh, but Fairy Tale seems to be a snap pick for Tiku Wabu.
Yeah, for this board, it's a little bit later that we'd be getting spell reflector. That's not really the direction we're going. I like this a lot. I think this is a great pickup. Now we can add more good boys. We can pick up more haymakers. There are a number of things. Nero might still want to be played at some point. I'm not certain, but yeah, a lot of things that we would want to pick up that are golden and now discounted. And there's another good boy, and I have to assume it's going to find its way on board.
Now, how much do we have to sell to get there? Because you mentioned we might want to hang on to at least one of those tailors. It looks like we can, but we definitely want to hang on to the haymakers. We don't want to sell those off too fast.
I did say that, and it seemed like it was going to be important. However, if you add enough good boys to your board, the question is, can you simply outstat a big spell reflector board? I'm not sure I know the answer to that, but I think it's a question you need to be asking yourself.
I don't mind us hanging on to one tailor here. Yeah, I like that cell combo. I like what we've done, and I love this. What is that? We got 12 good boys on the front here. Is that what I'm looking at?
Yeah. Can we just get a full board of good boys and then work on buffing them?
Well, if we had taken that spell reflector, maybe.
Yeah, fair enough. I don't even know if that's what you want to do in this spot, but that's what I want to see.
Yeah. I think what you want to do is maintain a healthy mix of stats and scams such that you can beat all of your opponents. But can we just get more good boys? I want more.
Well, and ranged as well. The Fisherman and the Founder having range is really, really nice once it starts to catch some stats. And we do see Dr. Frank on that board, so we'll see if the stats end up overcoming any scam that pops out of that. So far, so good. The numbers are just getting bigger on our side.
Yeah, those cat stats aren't really keeping up with our dog stats at the moment, and our dog stats are kind of cheating. And good boys keep buffing good boys. That's what we needed to see happen. Now, that Frank's monster is pretty large. It actually survived the good boy hit, and unfortunately for Celery Tea, it's not the perfect answer against things that have that number of stats. It takes a little bit of the stats away, but it doesn't, it still roughly leaves them at where they were at. Against entrance comps, you want tailors more than you want celeries, and of course you have no control over that coming out of the Dr. Frank, but yeah.
Well, Satan Worship had a Chrono Crystal as well, so we still have 6 players as we did going into that last fight, and that's a board with Nero and Fisherman in the Flounders. We pick up a Golden Fisherman in the Flounder thanks to Fairy Tale.
Looks like the health is actually relevant. 9 versus 10, you can survive a slightly bigger hit, and now another Golden Haymaker.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just saving so much food at this point, I have to imagine.
Yeah, the food stats are starting to pile up. I mean, you can see the good boys noticeably bigger than they were even just one turn ago.
It's so tricky to do the math here because there is 0 point in adding more stats if those stats are not useful. But
right,
if you still need those stats to outstat other people who have stats, then you absolutely should be prioritizing getting more stats. And we rolled past that Golden Haymaker, deemed it not necessary here.
Yeah, we did. It is always interesting because you're dealing with a set of unknowns as well. You know, what else can you do with that gold that's going to be better? And then also, what's the likelihood of being given the opportunity to spend the gold in that way? Sometimes just rolling for better options is the best use for your gold. And it looks like that's all we're going to be doing this turn is just rolling and looking for something for next turn.
I don't think we'll be playing a lot of Ascendances from here. Now, looking at that Corgi for a moment, that is kind of the payoff for all of these good boy stats, potentially. Could be, but not taking it here. Don't imagine we're locking a herding dog.
Doesn't seem to be the case, no. Are we playing a tailor? Maybe some consideration to it here, but yeah, like we're thinking a lot about what to play and where to play it. I like that we're thinking about it, but it is coming down to the end of the turn on some of these turns, so maybe we're not 100% sure, which is understandable because it can be very hard to figure out.
Kaisop has now dropped in 2 tailors for this fight. Saw all the good boys and decided to tailor in response, and they were pretty effective.
Well, you talked about a Corgi. Our opponent had a Corgi, and it was massive. And fight RNG big here is that Brave Little Tailor. It does what Brave Little Tailor does. It neutralizes these big stats. It gets to attack multiple times, which was huge there.
Now, yuck. We could see it. There's another shiny good boy. Oh, we're not taking it. 4 shiny good boys is enough shiny good boys, apparently.
Yeah, I didn't think we wanted more, but I wanted more. You know, whoa, 2 Neros, 2, not one, but 2 Neros in the shop.
That feels like that's going to put a lot of power on our board. What do you think?
Well, I think we're thinking about it, is what I think. Well, we took one of them, and yeah, we are going to get to the other one, it looks like.
Now, big decision. We're going to keep the food save. Okay. And now, interestingly, I think the 2 Neros are just going to cycle back and forth, and they're going to just, one of them will be in the last slot in the bench, one of them will be slot 5, and we'll take all the extra numbers on the good boys up front, and we'll let those numbers trickle back to the fishermen's in the back, and I think that's kind of it now.
Yeah, we want to turn that Nero good. That would be a huge deal. It is a little more awkward when we have 2 separate Neros that we're cycling. If we could turn them both good, that would really be ideal. We'll see, given the opportunity. Again, still have the Chrono Crystal in play, though.
Yeah, that is pretty huge. Now, Kaisop, though, was roughly close to us with stats, it looked like. Not quite as many as the good boys can all share if all the good boys get to hit, but Kaisop also knows to take a few good boys away from us as well. That's kind of spooky. And, of course, double spell reflector Aladdin, right? We have yet to see...
Yeah.
We keep seeing it in the scout, but we have yet to see it in a fight.
Yeah. Yeah, opponent RNG always is a factor, right? We haven't faced that opponent. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I am curious to see what that's going to end up looking like whenever we do get to face it. We are into the top 4 now. So you mentioned during the previous game, I believe it was, that there is a point jump between 5th and 4th place. So these players securing some extra points just by making the top 4. Now they're going to fight to see they can get another point jump to move up into the top 2, and then especially to see who wins this lobby.
Well, we know Tikuwabu and Jussius were in the top 2 last time around. Both got very good points. Synesthesia was a 4th place finish last game, and therefore also got a very good number of points. And look at the scam on this board. Those 2 Succubi are overperforming, but it's just not quite enough.
Yeah, the range ends up being a pretty big deal here. I talked about having more good boys, but in reality, the range can be so important, especially against some scam like we just saw. And okay, well, that is a scam board. We get through it. We do still have 4 players in it, though. And are we going to play this Nero in slot 1? We're at least thinking about it.
Yeah, we're looking at now finally dealing with, and I say that as though we can actually deal with it. I don't know if we can. The Aladdin Spell Reflector board that has just been putting up stats and stats. When we did the scout there, the starting stats on that board look legit. That looks like a very strong board. And I do wonder what happens. You got to remember that at any given time, all of the numbers you see could be doubled too, because if Aladdin chooses to do a double your attack or double your health spell across the entire board, it could just balloon up. And there's plenty of both. So both those spells are probably in play now.
You know what we haven't seen is a double dying breath item.
Yeah, yeah. I think we ended last turn with a double boost just looking
Yeah,
at us in
it
the
was.
shop.
Yeah, or a double entrance item. For what it's worth, that would be interesting as well. But we haven't seen the late game, the items that really fit this comp, the 12 cost. However, we've been winning ever since we picked up that fairy tale and picked up our 4th good boy, which I don't know if our 4th good boy is happy about being in slot 7.
This is so tricky. You keep looking at boards, and with Good Boy especially, because you got the entrance preview now, so you can take a look at a Nero board and you can kind of go, okay, well, I know roughly how big everything's going to be. I see that Corgi is 1500. But you look at a Good Boy board, whether it's yours or an opponent's, and you don't really know exactly how far those stats will balloon throughout the course of the fight. So it can be a little bit challenging to figure out, and I guess this is what we're settling on, is going to be that Nero in slot 1. It's a tough call. We saw that Taylor, right? I
Yeah.
think that Aladdin had a Taylor going on.
Well, when you have ranged, it's not like you're writing off the good boy as not getting value. The ranged characters might attack and survive, and then the good boy might still buff them. It can still work out. I also noticed that we locked that shop, I believe, for the food stats from the spell for next turn.
Oh, the Taylor doesn't get to go. Wait, I think we're
Yeah,
winning from here then. We have so many stats coming out of these good boys. The succubus is going to have
yeah.
to get so much work done, and it just can't.
I mean, the reality is that wasn't close. You mentioned the starting stats on the board of Justice, and there were a lot of starting stats. Speaking of items, I'm curious to see if we want to pick this item up. But yeah, the starting stats were massive. We don't have necessarily as big a starting stats, although they are quite big at this point, quite
Yeah.
big. But our stats get much bigger throughout the course of the fight, and we ended up just being much bigger. We do in fact pick up the entrance item, which is perfect.
I mean, this turn alone, we were looking at not quite half what we're seeing here, but the good boys had somewhere around 600 attack to start and somewhere in the 300. I thought it was 300-ish health, and now just doubling the entrance on that Nero. Now our starting stats look great, and the stats we get during the combat look great, and I think we look pretty terrifying at the moment.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think we have the comp to beat right now, and I don't want to jinx it, but I have to wonder if this Chrono Crystal is just going to be a safety net that ends up not being needed.
You know what? If you get a cosmetic Chrono Crystal, you're probably feeling all right on day 2.
I will say though, there are situations. I don't know how much it will have come into play in this particular lobby. There are situations where just having it does allow you to play a little more greedy and not
Mm.
be as worried about getting knocked out. So it can actually have value, even if it never procs, in my opinion, because there are times where you might look at an opponent and say, I got to survive against that. I need to find a combat spell, for instance. But in this case, you can always think, well, let me just improve my board. In case I don't win, I've got this Chrono Crystal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Like, you may have a Chrono Crystal and be in that spot where you get something like, say, that Holy Grail, or something like an orchestra. We saw the treasure hamster type situation pop up before. It lets you take the Holy Grail, and then all of a sudden, next turn, you get so much more done than you would have normally got done. And yeah, that Chrono Crystal really did kind of give us the leeway to get here, I think, in some regards.
Okay, so we're in the top three, going up against the Fisher King. Fisher King is played by Kassop.
I think we lost this matchup last time we saw them because of the double Taylor doing good work against our good boys.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be tougher this time for Kaisop. Oh, didn't even hit the good boy to start the fight with the first Taylor hit. That's got to be bad. However, Kaisop's board,
Yeah.
that was not a small board. And I was questioning, we've been putting some food on these fishermen. Having fishermen that did not fall over easily at the start of a fight was really handy there.
Yeah, that ended up being pretty close. Kassop's board put up a really nice fight. You talked about we had lost to that one previously. This Aladdin board that we're facing, as we see a Cersei's Cup, I have to think we're going to find a way to get to that. We are indeed. We did fairly well against this board that we're about to face. And with Spell Reflector, maybe they've gotten much, much stronger, but I know for sure that the board we're looking at has gotten much, much stronger.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it was when you said, and I was thinking it and you said it out loud first, we were looking for those items. The second we started getting some of those really important late game items on the board, our board suddenly really came together in a big way.
Yep. Yeah, those really the timing of it was great. Those aren't necessarily items you want to spend 12 gold on while you're still developing your board. Sometimes you do it. Sometimes you're even very happy to do it. But to be able to develop our board and then find the items, it just felt like everything lined up perfectly here.
Now, Jussius Yuck has added incentive to pull this off. I don't know exactly. I'm not saying that there's a perfect solution to this puzzle that Tiku Wabu has created here for Jussius, but Tiku Wabu goes live if Tiku Wabu wins here on game 3, live on game
Yeah.
3, being the only person who could possibly do it and would be the only person who would have a chance to win it on game 3. Now, if Jussius stops Tiku Wabu here, they're both sitting at 18 points. Jussius took second in the last lobby. Neither one of them are live, but presumably they both will be for game 3. And they'll also have the current highest points total. So they presumably will go live. And if a third person goes live, that it's likely enough that we're game 3, both of them going live, but that's only if Jussius can shut down Tiku Wabu right here. And I'm not sure that's possible.
Yeah. That's a big if. I'm not sure if Jussius is going to be able to deal with this board that Tiku Wabu has assembled. If it does, it's going to be through some scam, I would say. It does get a Taylor attack, which is a good start to it. But Cersei's Cup already, I don't think with ranged here coming in, there's just no way. Way too many stats.
It's too much. When the late game Hecate is smaller than a good boy, after knowing that many spells were cast, that's going to be a problem. Well, GG, well played, yeah. Tiku Wabu taking game 2 live after 2 games, Jack.
You would not have been able to convince me going into this today that we would be in a scenario yet again for the second month in a row where there was potential for somebody to win in 3 games. Tiku Wabu doing what Give Free Rollback did last month, trying to do, I should say, and win it in 3. And it adds for some excitement here, but all targets are going to be on Tiku Wabu's back. Every other player in the lobby, without a doubt, is going to be paying attention to what Tiku Wabu is doing in this next one.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. You gotta stop Tiku Wabu now.
Yeah. Okay, well, GG's to all these players in game 2. We're going to take another very quick break. Don't go anywhere. Make sure you use the code !crystals in chat if you haven't done that already, and we'll be back shortly. right, welcome back, everybody. We didn't want to take a long break on this one at all. We want to get right back into it with game number 3, Tikuwabu, who is in fact live with 20 points after 2 games. That means a first place and another first place. So we're gonna spectate Tikuwabu again. You know, we like to see everybody and how they're playing and what they're doing, but we have to spectate Tikuwabu as there's a lot on the line for Tiku and everybody else in the lobby in this one.
Yep. And I think we want to jump right in. I don't think we want to have too much delay. So just in case this thing ends in 3, because there is a chance now, granted, like we were talking about, everybody's going to know and everybody's going to be doing what they can to stop Tikuwabu from pulling it off. But don't forget the exclamation point crystals in the chat if you have not yet, because that code will only be active for the duration of our stream here today.
Yeah, and one other thing I want to mention, since there is a chance, albeit I'll say a small one. I don't know, maybe it's not a small chance. Tikuwabu playing very well today, but there's a chance this could be the last game. So I want to remind everybody, if you haven't already done so, be sure to leave a review of the game. If you love the game, and if you're here, I'm sure you do, make sure whatever your platform you're playing the game on, Steam, iOS, or Android, the Play Store, be sure to leave a review. It is helpful for the game.
I think if everybody's ready, Yuck, I think we're ready. I think let's get this thing started. I kind of want to see some Apollo today. We have seen it in the shop a few times. We've seen ever so slight sunbathing going on, but not a lot of really good sunbathing yet. And I was kind of hoping maybe we would see a really strong build come together.
We haven't, but you know what we have seen a lot of? Chameleon.
Oh, can't complain. 100% can't complain.
More
Chameleon, please.
Yeah, it's been very interesting to me. Not that we've seen Chameleon. I've always thought that there are a lot of reasons to try to make it work, but we've seen it getting to Slay on 3.2 and turning into a level 4 character a couple of times now. That part is interesting to me. All right, quick pick into Queen of Hearts, it looks like.
Dame Gothel, Fafnir, Ares, Queen of Hearts. Tikuwabu says, give me the queen. So Queen of Hearts has changed a couple of times since it initially came out. The big thing you kind of got to know is it started off really, really strong because the grow effect added health. That went away. The grow effect does not scale health anymore. It does add 1 health by default at the start of the game, so you're not giving attack to the red squares. You're giving health to the red squares, 1 health only. But then throughout the course of the game, the attack that the red squares add will continuously go up. So strong hero. I think still remains a high pick for a lot of players, but not as overbearing as it initially was. We'll have to see what Tikuwabu can pull off here, and we're looking at kind of a weak shot with a free roll.
Yeah, and Queen of Hearts does open up some different strategies and maybe lends itself to some specific characters with the way that it works. With those black squares reducing stats, there are some characters that care less about having their stats reduced, and sometimes you can intentionally reduce stats on a character. We'll see if that ends up being any important piece in this throughout as we pick up a hot potato on turn 1.
You know, the turn 1 hot potato on Queen of Hearts is especially spicy because your squares don't turn on until turn 2. You don't have any kind of stat effects. Now, all of a sudden, we see the red and black squares on the board. You don't get those on turn 1, so you don't mind having anything in particular on turn 1. The potato doesn't grow, sure, but who cares?
Well, did we just swap a potato for a potato?
We did. We put some more stats on the second potato. Oh, no, I don't know that we'll swap for a third. Do we put more stats on the...
Well,
we could trade potato for owl spell. Wait, no, we would just
no.
We could just get 2 characters if we felt like it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yuck,
pairs
awkward.
Pairs are good, but yeah, you don't really want to be buffing the hot potato. It's hot. You want to.
Well, you kind of got it now. I mean, you got. It's going to be the best thing you possibly got here. I guess we're going with the shield page.
Okay. Yeah, it's I think just a weird scenario. I like the shield page pickup out of the options given, but
I think ideally you want to stack stats on the same units all the way starting from the start of the game, and it feels so funny when you can't. And this is just the situation you can't.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe we keep the hot potato around.
Late game hot potato.
Yeah. Okay. We saw a tie there, a pretty close one, and now we see a pair in the shop. Are we maybe picking up some demons here?
I am getting the sense that yes, we are. Interestingly, Dionysus Jussius, we saw that last fight, got a golden retriever. That's the happy retriever, but you know, it looks
Yeah,
like a golden retriever.
yeah.
Not a bad find potentially. Curious where that might lead to. Dionysus is such a weird hero. It's so feast or famine, depending on what Dionysus chooses to give you that's golden.
Yeah, it really is.
Not
Uh,
interested in the imps at all.
Elaine, two of them, maybe.
All
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Lane Parrot is.
That's a character
Now,
you don't mind giving stats to. It's a ranged character. You can keep that around for a while potentially.
it's a little awkward. We're still just giving health to the board in the red squares, so these are not going to be the best fighters yet. But they should each get to attack here, I would think. Normally.
Yeah, but with the health support or the boost from shield page, they have a chance to survive when they are attacked, and that's exactly what happened here. That ends up being very useful.
As long as they both had a chance to attack there, it was always going to turn out to be a pretty good situation here for Tikuwabu. I didn't see the shop clearly. Tikuwabu doing what you pointed out, give free roll back doing, scouting before making a single purchase decision. Let's take a look at what everybody else has panning out, and then let's take a look at the shop critically now that we know.
So this is the turn that we're gonna have to start utilizing one of these black spaces potentially. We've for now moved the shield page into the front, and I think there is a world where we sell it and get 2/3 drops this turn. We are not, in fact, going to do that here. We're going to move it into one of those black spaces. What 3-drop are we picking up here?
I think we're picking up that impatient or determined plowman.
Yeah.
I keep seeing us touch it.
I like the plowman fairly well here. It's going to gain health in these red slots potentially. It's always an interesting character because if you get value out of it turn 1, it's much easier to get value out of it that following turn. But then it will, at some point, feel like it needs to get off your board quickly. But yeah. I like picking it up this turn. I'm happy with it.
The little bit of health scaling from the red slot, the little bit of attack scaling, and it already having such a big health pool to begin with our shield page. It all makes a lot of sense this turn. When things start having 20 attack, like you say, then all of a sudden it just can't really grow anymore. But we do get parrot value. That's pretty big. And a couple of hits into the plowman. And the rare 0 attack draw.
Yeah, that's one way to tie.
It happens often enough, but it doesn't happen every time. So it always feels kind of novel to me when it does happen.
We did get a few hits into the plowman, so it's pretty sizable now. 14 health, even without being in front of the shield page.
We're going to yellow bark it here.
We are going to yellow bark.
Makes a lot of sense. We got something with 17 health. Maybe that plowman will have enough attack that it won't necessarily matter if it can keep surviving hits going on later in the game here.
Yellowbark is one of those characters, I suppose, that falls into the category of not caring so much about losing stats. It's not that you want to lose stats on it necessarily, but you know, it's already 0 attack, and you're mainly using it for its ability, not for its own stats. So putting it in one of the black spaces makes a lot of sense here.
Well, now we got a pair of parrots, but it looks like we're going for a hand summoner. You talked about characters that do not care about losing stats.
Yep.
Crew member.
Yep. Yeah, it's just one of the primary strategies for Queen of Hearts is to summon things out of your hand so you can take advantage of the red slots, and the other ones just throw your crew member. Just no matter where they land, find your crew member in one of those slots, and it loses stats. No big deal. It's still going to do what you need it to.
Well, I'm not feeling incredibly powerful, but I'm not feeling like we're going to take a lot of damage. Oh, and it looks like we're locking to turn something good.
Or was it potentially for the pair of ranged characters?
It might have been.
I'm not sure. We'll have to see what we do at that shop, as the plowman does take some more damage, so it's gonna continue to have a solid amount of stats going into the next fight.
And we're finding ourselves another draw. You are right. We do have the pair of Agents of the Moon here. Now, awkwardly, we don't have a lot of red squares in the back this turn, so if we wanted to pick up that pair of Agents of the Moon, maybe we were hoping that we got some more buff squares in the back. We do not have those.
We don't. It is 3.2, which is a turn where Interesting. We also want the parrot here, so we are going to take the pair of agents, but also the pair of parrots, which is just fun to say.
The
Um,
parrot.
okay. Yeah, the positioning is awkward with the way our slots play out here. Well, I mean, I guess the kind of good thing is we want to leave one spot open anyway, so slot one being a black square, maybe not the biggest deal. Um, and we've managed to turn one of the agents good. Okay.
All right, so Angel Feather on the agent. We're choosing to drop the ranged out of our hand instead of the Plowman. I might be more keen to drop the Plowman this fight.
Right. Yeah, that maybe. I mean, the slot it's gonna drop into is fairly decent for a range character, but it's a 0 attack crew member, so you don't know when that's potentially gonna drop in. I'm with you. I might play the Plowman as well, but I could see it going either way here.
I guess we're looking though at Warship's back line here in Oinksburg, and I think they all had 0 attack, if I wasn't mistaken. Oh, never mind. I was looking at a different board. It was one of those, if you can't get the front row dealt with, your Plowman probably can't either. So maybe it was better to have range pop out. Now we're a little behind the Oinksburg mare.
We are not much though. Still 27 health. There's a kiss, a new you in the shop. There's a crab, which is a pretty nice tempo character as well. But do we ever go for a 5-drop here? I want to. I don't know if Tikuwabu is gonna like that, but no, we're not gonna do it. I'm always curious to see the 5s early.
I think that might have been a little too expensive for me right there, but it caught my eye too. You're right.
Yep.
Tikuwabu apparently opting to maybe roll up a triple. Maybe wonder what we're looking for here specifically. Would we want a 2-headed demon? Would we want? We
Well,
want a few more
duelist.
stats and summon. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we definitely want the duelist. This could is going back to the new you play. This could also be something where if you think you're strong enough without taking a risk, why take a risk? Because there is risk involved in transforming. You don't know what you're going to get, and while it can be great, spending that much gold on something that doesn't help you can be horrendous. And Tikuwabu, as we talked about, has a lot riding on this particular game.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You want to play both the parrots because you got the double Agent of the Moon going on over here, but you also really want to take advantage of having 3 red squares in the black to get buffs on all your range characters. So this does feel like a pretty good best of both worlds.
Yeah. The only thing I think you could maybe do differently here is if you played the duelist and the yellow bark slot in slot 4 and then decided to summon the parrot and the plowman and not use the yellow bark. I could see that being an option, but yeah, the slots changing the way that they do on Queen of Hearts leads to some awkward positioning and some awkward turns. It's sometimes hard to position anyway based on what your team comp looks like, but yeah, it just gets so much more difficult with this hero.
It looks like Synesthesia's Leprechaun shops have told Synesthesia to buy all of the good aligned characters that buff good aligned characters, and that looked like a pretty convincing Leprechaun board. I didn't think we were going to pull that back to a draw, but we managed to get through the Guardian Angels, or the Guardian Angel is the range character. Shoot, I lost the name, but the 3-drop Angels.
You're right. It did not really look like we were going to compete there, but that's the power of ranged, right? We got multiple attacks out of our ranged characters there at the end of the fight. So numbers wise, it looked like we weren't going to be okay, but those extra attacks really add a lot of value. Okay, we're playing a combat spell here. I'm curious what we're looking at in this shop. Maybe the item?
It doesn't really feel like a mermaid spot for me. The moth is sometimes very good, but not necessarily super good here. Okay, no.
Okay, we were just making sure we got our positioning set, I think.
Important to reconfigure frequently.
Yeah, we talked about earlier scouting before you make decisions. It can, I think, be important to do this as well. Position your board. It helps you maybe understand what you're going to want to do with the remainder of your gold in that turn based on what your board looks like. Also, it's important to get your positioning right. you know you have enough time to spend your gold. And in this situation, on this hero, I feel like it's probably more difficult at this point to figure out how to position your board than it is to know what you're looking for in the shop.
Yep. And because of that, Tikuwabu rolled into the Husky, and that's kind of the slot we needed stats in this particular combat. Husky doesn't have a lot of permanent stats anyway, so it's another one of those characters you talked about earlier that's not terribly important if it ends up in a black square and loses a little bit of starting stats. And I do think it recently got buffed from 1-1 to 3-3, so it is going to lose something here, but Husky turns out to be kind of perfect. And give free roll back double book mage board with a lot of stats. Look at that 30 attack range character already, and then a 26 attack unyielding.
Yeah, but yet again, the power of ranged. There's some ranged on both sides here, but we get out of that with the tie. Tikuwabu, I think, is probably happy. It's still at 27 health. It's a strong start.
Wow. Golden Owl, Golden Cursed Rose, Golden Book Mage on Justius Dionysus board. I wonder how many of those came from the hero ability, but I didn't take a look at the treasures. The treasures kind of tell you, right? If there's no level 4 treasure, no level 3 treasure. I wonder if Dionysus is telling Justius just play mages.
Well, I mean, last game, Justius had that spell reflector, so Justius just a mage gamer today, it seems. Which, with that board, I wouldn't mind being a mage gamer either. That's a fun looking board.
I mean, I play a lot of mages. It's one of the strategies. I liked it a lot in other games that had, hats and balls and things. Mages are fun. Casting a lot of spells feels good.
Okay, well, we continue to scout. Is there any of the level 2 treasures that we want? Crossroads always seems to be useful.
Actually, gonna take the gingerbread muffin. I'm surprised. Yeah, Crossroads is generically pretty good most of the time. It helps you find things you're looking for, but saying we need a little bit extra hero attack just to be good in the combats, apparently. That's a pretty quick hover over the steadfast statue, too. Tikuwabu is fairly decisive.
Yeah, I like it.
Tikuwabu sees what they want, and they just click it.
I mean, steadfast statue, kind of interesting on Queen of Hearts, right? You can always take characters that have lost stats and then put them in slot 1 and potentially they gain stats. So yeah, interesting specifically on this hero, I would say.
Well, and it's not that it's I was wondering if it was somehow individually synergistic with this Husky, and it's not necessarily, but the Husky likes to be in slot 1 often enough, and it's probably going to end up getting stuck in slots where it loses stats anyway. So yeah, you just don't care. You use your statue and you just don't care.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, our fireball took out the book mage, which was pretty good. It didn't get to do its damage through because
this is
kind of spooky.
We don't love that our opponent's Cursed Rose managed to not get taken out until the shield had already been popped on their back protector. So they got full value there, and we do take some damage. Still 20 health, which is fairly comfortable. But what are we going to do now that we hit level 5? Are we looking at that, Watson?
We do have a duelist and a crew member already. I did see a quick tap on the Watson. We could. It looks like we're lining up for it.
We did also take a treasure that gives us extra hero attack, which just kind of looks like a great decision in hindsight.
Well, and also, Agent of the Moon is perfectly happy to play with Gretel. Wait, there's an Apollo. Ayane's got an Apollo going. Oh,
a lot of sunlight on that board.
Now, we might have to talk about Apollo briefly. Apollo is a brand new character. Level 5 got added in with the last patch, and it gives its entire row sunlight 2. So that's a 2/2 buff across the entire row, and then anything that's got a sunbathing effect in that same row will activate the sunbathing effect. But it's also got an effect when you sell an angel, you cast a God Ray spell, which is a 3-cost spell that gives a 2/1 permanent stat buff to your entire board. Now, that is an expensive proposition because you don't often find a lot of cheap angels. They're often a little bit more than you would just spend if you were to cast that spell. So I don't quite know exactly how best to utilize Apollo, but I'm curious what Ayane is going to get done with it here.
Yeah, it is fun to see it. I think it has the potential to be strong, but it does seem like things need to line up well for you to get a lot of value. As you mentioned, having angels that you want to sell, and then also having a board of characters that you want to keep long enough for that buff to feel impactful. It is possible, though. So So I'd like to see that happen potentially. But yeah, for now we're gonna gain some hero attack and I don't know, potentially be looking for a Gretel next turn. Let's see,
Yeah, I
maybe that's our
guess
direction.
who cares less about your permanent stats than Hansel and Gretel?
Yeah, it's a great point.
They don't come with any. They
Yeah,
don't need it. They
that's a
don't care.
fantastic point. Yeah, there are just some strategies that play so much better with a hero that causes some of your characters to lose stats, and that's a great one.
I have to see what Ayane's got summoning out of hand. That's a very big beauty, and that's a big golden fluff. Now the ranged is all ranging. The Apollo is also ranging. All right, straight into a draw.
Yeah, a lot of ranged attacks happening in that one. It was kind of hard to tell for me who was ahead there. Ends up being a tie in the end.
Well, we're cruising right along. The only word on my mind is Gretel. We said
Yeah,
the name now multiple times. I am really looking for that Gretel.
another Watson would be nice as well. I believe I saw Portal Wardrobe on our upcoming opponents board. I hope I did anyway. I love Portal Wardrobe,
I
and
think we'd take one, right? If we saw one.
yeah, I mean to have another character that summons in front of the Watson just for that alone would be nice. But it's not the primary thing we're looking for. As we started into this turn talking about some things that we'd rather have. Maybe there's something in this shop that we want. We're paused on this shop here.
Yeah, we've been really sitting here staring at and debating that Long John Silver, and it looks like we are going to pick it up. We do have some hand summoning going on. It does give its stats to the hand. I guess maybe it'll end up where Hansel is right now on the board. Oh, there's Gretel.
Ooh, there it is. We do have
Or is it just summoning in the middle of the chain to boost the end of the chain? I'm curious what we're doing with this Long John Silver.
yeah. Looks like we are gonna summon it. We don't want to put it in one of the black spaces to where it loses stats. Yeah, this does get really, really strange. I think, at least in some ways, trying to position because you specifically want the duelist and the crew member in front of the Watson, but then you got one black spot in front of it, one red spot, and it's hard to line everything up because your back row positioning matters as well. When you have range, you don't want the Watson attacking before the range, so there's a lot of shuffling going on, rightfully so.
There might, I don't know if we're at that point, but we're very close to the point where we almost entirely ignore square effects because our positioning becomes more important.
Yep, that makes sense to me. Okay, well, that felt like a pretty good turn for us, I would say. I'm with you on the Long Johns, but we did pick up the Gretel, which is something that I think just fits perfectly into what we're doing. I believe this is going to be our long-term strategy.
Another Apollo board here, this time for Kaisop, and there's that portal wardrobe you saw. I do think stat-wise we're going to end up okay here, but maybe I'm wrong. I thought it looked okay, but we're looking a little behind.
We did get a really nice attack into the Brave Little Tailor, but it still ends up leaving us a little bit short. Kaisop surviving on 2L, knocking Tikuwabu down to 14, and I'm sure everybody in the lobby is paying attention to that, and everybody's likely happy. Nothing personal against Tikuwabu, of course, but seeing Tikuwabu take some damage there so they can try to extend this one and become live themselves. Since Tikuwabu is currently the only player that is live and has the opportunity to win this entire monthly tournament right here in this particular lobby.
There absolutely has to be an element of gamesmanship because this is a tournament after all, right? And the folks who, like you're saying, everybody knows, everybody's aware, everybody should know about Tikuwabu and that it is time to make it a little bit harder for Tikuwabu because you don't want this tournament to be over if you're in it.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't want it to be over, but also at the same time, I think it's so interesting that it happened last month. If it could happen again to go 3, I don't know if I'm rooting for it to happen or not. I want to see more games, but also, come on, like, what's the likelihood for it to happen 2 months in a row?
I figured no shot. I figured no shot that we would have another 3 game. Like I didn't think there'd be a chance that we'd have a back to back and have someone live on the 3rd game. I didn't think it was going to happen last month, and then this time around, it's not even the person who did it last time is here, and it's not even them doing it again. It's Tikuwabu.
Yeah.
Now Tikuwabu has won one of these things before, but Tikuabu's still alive and kicking with 14 health. You know, a little bit of health to play with. A board that's not so bad. It looks like we've fallen behind ever so slightly in a couple of regards to this and that, but still at the same time, wow. I'm a little gobsmacked. It happened. I didn't think it could happen again, but it looks like it's possible.
Yeah. So it looks like we're gonna not play the crew member. We're gonna opt to play a full board instead, and we do still have the two duelists, so we are still summoning from hand here. So hand positioning could matter. I don't know if there's still some shuffling going on here. Okay, perfect. Another thing worth noting as far as Tikuwabu being live, even if Tikuwabu isn't able to win this particular lobby, by winning 2 in a row, you've kept other players from getting those points
True.
and making it harder for them to become live. So that benefits Tikuwabu regardless. The fewer people that are live, the more likely it is for the few that are to be able to take it down.
Now, noticing Stonehenge Druid on the Toy Dino played a lightning bolt against Tikuwabu here.
Ranged.
Yep. I kind of get the sense, I wonder, I feel like this was Tikuwabu's plan the whole time, including the Long John and the Captain Hook. It feels as though getting extra stats on things in hand that are already big stat, because that's how hunters work, right? Your Gretels are big, your Hansels are big. If you leave them in hand and can drop them with extra stats from the Captain Hook, I don't know. The Long John is definitely handy, but the Captain Hook, especially doing a percentage-based stat buff on things like Hansels and Gretels, could be very lucrative later. It's a little hard to get full value from it right this second, but already getting some value from it.
Yeah, and as good as the range have been, Tikuwabu is now going to favor a brave little tailor, it looks like, which is, almost always useful. So are we really hunters? I mean, to be fair, we don't have a golden Watson. We have 19 hero attack, but now that we're on level 6, is that worth leaning into? Maybe we're just giving ourselves other options here by picking up a tailor.
Yeah, it looked like Tikuwabu was. I saw the Elaine shuffle into slot 7 and the Watson go to the bench briefly while we were, thinking about our turn and what was going to be coming here. It looks like the Watson's still playing well. We're still.
Yeah.
I don't know, Yuck. Are we hunters? I mean, we're scaling our attack as we speak.
I mean, I could see maybe the Gretel playing and not playing the Watson and not be full hunters, but still try to take advantage of some hunter stats and some gains in stats. Okay, we are going to pull. Well, are we not? I don't know. Tikuwabu's still figuring it out and shuffling things around here. The ranged is great. Gretel does have unyielding, though, and it's pretty well statted here.
Yeah, it looks like Watson's off the menu for the moment. That's a little unusual. This whole thing is not quite straightforward to me.
Yeah, same for me.
And the Watson is gone now. Yeah, we are really playing into the hand buff now with Long John and Cap and Hook.
So does this potentially turn into hand summons and scam, I wonder?
I don't know, but Gretel has been banished to the very last position on the bench. Wasn't even going to summon in the second to last position, but making very sure that Gretel knows that Gretel is in trouble. Oh, getting the Arthur there. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was a big attack by the Tailor into the Arthur, meaning that the back row for Satan Warship was not nearly as big as it would have been otherwise. All right, well, let's take a triple and see what kind of treasure we're offered.
Ooh, top 6 time too. Divine Messenger, Celestial Harp, Garlic Cabinet. We just got rid of Watson, so I don't think it's Messenger.
Yeah, are we going to try to play into the harp?
It's looking like we're thinking about it.
I think it's possible to do so. It will give some extra stats to the Long Johns here. We see some shields. I didn't get a great look at that board, but I did see one of the opponents has Celestial Shield.
That is spooky. Celestial Shield is always a little spooky. We are going to take the Harp stats for right now. Hard to argue, but we do have to drop one of the 4 drops into hand.
I can't help but just think that we've taken our hero that is kind of a puzzle hero with the different slots. Now we've added a new puzzle, which is you can only have 2 characters of each level. It does seem like we're set up well for it, but we're just adding puzzles on top of puzzles here.
Well, let's get another 4-cost unit for the board. Why not? And now that won't make things just even harder than they already were. You almost have to now, I guess, just play the crew member and summon the 2 duelists from hand, but then you're only really summoning 1 big thing, or the duelists are 2 of the big things. Unless you... Can you
Yeah.
really play without Harp active? Do you have to?
Well, it looks like that's what we're doing here.
Oh, man.
It's
Yeah, I don't know if I like the extra puzzle, Yuck.
Yeah, that's what I mean. At the time, it looked like it might work out to have the harp active without putting too much effort into it. But you are just making things more difficult, at least in some ways. Okay, we are gonna activate the harp here. It seems. Yeah, it feels clunky. That doesn't mean it's not strong, however.
It's
Yeah, I
not
think we
bad. We
figured it
gotta...
out.
Okay, we are getting the Gretel in play. We gotta... we can't be dropping Captain Hooks onto the board at the end of the sequence. Yeah, we gotta be dropping something else now.
Okay. I mean,
It'll be
you do.
easier if we can consolidate the duelist and we can consolidate the hooks.
I was just gonna say you do have characters that you're summoning to board that are great characters to add stats to. I mean, a
Yeah.
ranged character, an unyielding character, and then I mean, let's just not even talk about Taylor because it's just harder to take out when it has more stats and might get a second attack.
Double Watson setup for Stonehenge across the way. Already got some convincing looking hunter stats going on that Taylor is so handy. But now the back row has to start hitting in, and it's not big.
Yeah, that's what can happen with the hunter board is the back row, especially when you're still trying to run Watson, is not very good at fighting. So your front row might be formidable, but if your opponent can manage to get through that, you're not left with a lot. Luckily, the Van Helsing and the hero attack is able to tie. But okay, here we are in the top 5, looking at all of the different opponents, not just our upcoming opponent, mind you, looking at all of the opponents in the lobby because we need to take them all out to win this thing.
We've kind of stopped scaling. Gretel's not really out there hunting or slaying, and Watson isn't even around anymore. Like, we just drew even with the toy dino, but the toy dino was over there scaling. They're getting bigger. What do we do to get bigger? Well, that could be a way to get bigger, eh?
Yeah, we do have the steadfast statue treasure still, which
well, with the food stats, it's probably not the biggest deal. It just means we can't ever permanently scale the good boy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, and we definitely want to keep the harp still active. So we picked up 2 6-cost, a Nero and a good boy. But then now what do we do if we get another 6-cost that we want to play? We're doing puzzles.
Hopefully by that time we don't feel like we need the harp anymore.
Yeah.
Guess.
Yeah, but we have a Nero and a good boy. Great, right? For sure, great. But no haymaker to hang on to these food stats. I don't know. This right now does not feel like a winning board. With 14 health, it doesn't mean that we're not going to find a way to get there. But right now, it just doesn't feel like we're there yet. With that being said, we've been doing very well in these fights.
Well, Good Boy is sharing stats with Long John, then sharing all of those stats with the bench. I think it's 200% when it's upgraded Long John, so it's double Long John stats. Yeah, I'm checking the collection here. So that Long John is sharing 200% to the bench. That gave us a big spike in power. Again, though, I'm not confident we're keeping up that Genie's Sandstorm into the Celestial board here.
Well, wait, is this opponent the Celestial Shield board, though?
No, wait.
It's not, I don't think.
No, they just have 1 shield. Never mind. I thought that was a clutch spell at the last gold and last mana at the last second. Oh, wait, no, there are shields here. Okay.
We were cycling through scouting so many players, I lost track of which one we were actually facing. Incredible. You're right. It was exactly that. It doesn't deal with the summons gaining the shield back, but that was an incredible spell to find at the end. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to win the fight, but it does allow us to tie the fight. Ayane, very resilient there on 1 health remaining.
Ayane definitely did some scouting as well. Ooh, and we're in top 5 now. GG to the folks who have been eliminated. Ayane's Celery Tea took out the Long John, and then it survived to take out something else on the back row. I think it was a Taylor, turned it into a pig. That thing overperformed that fight, and left a lot of Tiku Wabu's stats stranded. The Long John is most of Tiku Wabu's stats.
Yeah. So are we looking to combine a level 4 for a treasure? There are some very good level 4 treasures.
I feel like we must be. It looks like we want to get that hook and bulb now.
These aren't necessarily the premium, I think, but Talisman, it's one that I find myself underrating because I feel like my opponents always have Talisman and it feels so good for them, and I just don't find myself taking it enough. So Tikuwabu giving a good example of what the strength of Talisman actually is here.
Ooh, and opting not to buff the good boy, opting to buff Long John. Now, very spicy if you get all the value from Long John, but we did see what happens if your Long John eats a celery tea hit. That's very bad.
It does seem like that's the entire game plan here is the Long Johns. It feels like the Nero and the Good Boy are there just to benefit the Long Johns.
Now, it looks like we're debating what should be turned good. It looks like Nero. Yep.
Yeah, I like it.
Had to be Nero there. And pick up a toothpick, call it a turn.
Well, okay. So, what do we call this? Is this a scam board? I don't even. I mean, it's a hand summon board, I guess, if you want to call it that. But
I think it is first and foremost. Yeah, it is primarily a hand summon board, and that's it is looking to get you with big tailors. It's kind of weird. It's a dog food stat powered hand summon buffing brave little tailor board.
This is also interesting when we scout our opponent's board and they have a big good boy, for instance, on the front row, because do you ever want to put a tailor in slot 1? It's not guaranteed to attack into the big good boy here, but with the good boy and the Arthur and of course another good boy thanks to the doppelganger, I think there has to be some consideration there for leading with one of the tailors. Not that you don't want to summon them in late and have them have massive stats. I will just say Tikuwabu, incredible, because I mean the stats were big enough, and one potential important thing is there could be an advantage to having smaller characters in the front row in this scenario. Of course, not the Long Johns, you want to share those stats, but smaller characters don't allow the Arthur and the good boy to die as easily, and then that means that the back row hasn't gained the buffs before the tailors summon. There's a lot going on here.
Did you see how perfectly that combat ran out for Tikuwabu, though?
I did, yeah.
The good boy went first, which buffed Long John, which then was the second thing to do, to get KO'd. And then Captain Hook went dead last, making the tailors as big as Tikuwabu possibly could that fight. That the fight RNG could not have gone better, and that was a narrow win in the end.
Yeah. You got to be happy with that if you're Tikuwabu. I will say again, though, well played to do it that way, because again, I'm looking at it as maybe one of these tailors wants to attack in slot 1, but having them both summon in and have all those stats that you mentioned in the back row ended up being exactly what was needed. And still on 15 health here. We're down to the top 4, so that means we lost Ayane, I believe.
Yeah, we did, and that's Stonehenge on the toy Dino, Jussius on the Dino and Dio, and then give free roll back on Odin. We know only Tikuwabu can end the whole tournament right here. Only person who has that capability. However, Jussius will, I think, go live with a top 4 finish next game. Let me take a look. I wonder, where's give free roll back at? Definitely got to be going live after this game,
right? Give free rollback is in the top 4 as well, so we don't know exactly how many points will be gained this turn, or this round, but we'll gain a decent amount in the top 4 here. As we play to Cersei's Cup, and we're counting down to the next fight against the Toy Dino, who had an interesting looking board. Some stars are going to be coming our way, but with hand summons, kind of plays around stars a bit, right? They can eat the star damage some of the time, and then summon the character that you really care more about in after the fact. In fact, no, this is not the board I thought it was. Okay, by scouting everybody, I've again gotten it wrong as far as which one we're actually facing this turn. But yeah, we are going to win this one narrowly. it might be the reason we use the portal wardrobe. I've mentioned a couple times how much I love that character. Just having things that summon at the end of that fight can be good. Not to mention the fact that it had a lot of stats and was ready to pop something out that was also very large.
Well, Yuck, the only person who can stop Tikuwabu from doing what they did last month is the person who did it last month.
How fun is that? It's like, it feels like it's scripted. It's not. It's not. But I mean, you can't make this up. It's so good. It's such a good storyline. Yeah, Get Free Roll Back went 3 games in a row last month. Tikuwabu with the potential to do it right here, right now. Get Free Roll Back. The one person standing in the way. So let's see.
Well, I'm taking a look at it. Justice will be live if there's a game 4. Justice for sure will also be live. Give Free Rollback is only sitting on 8 points. Give Free Rollback needs to both win this one and then possibly win another one and then possibly win the one after. So this could be the start of Give Free Roll's back run last month, just on game 3 potentially.
Okay. So yeah, well, we may not end this round. Both players still have a decent amount of health, but we're going to get a good look based on this combat and get a good feeling for how this is going to end up playing out, I think. Of course, even if this is one-sided, it doesn't mean that these players won't figure out a way to turn it around in their favor. But Tikuwabu Give Free Roll Back into the combat here.
Yeah, and that Doppelganger Diamond, Tikuwabu opting to change positioning right before the fight goes just to play around it a little bit. Give Free Roll Back has a prolific amount of stats built up here. Now, the Tailor did not get as big on the bench this time around. Those Demon Harbingers have so many stats. And
Are you kidding me?
Just a draw.
Are you kidding me? This is what? Huh? So many stats, so many summons. Fight RNG, like, it's so interesting to track the fight RNG because there's Tailor or 2 Tailors on this side. There was a Celery T on the other side that was hoping to target the Long Johns. It doesn't target the Long Johns. There was a lot, can't even really talk it through as we're casting it. But okay, another Golden Long John seems to fit nicely here.
Divine Messenger, Elemental Sword, Symbol of Unity. Interesting that we see Divine Messenger when that is what's powering Give Free Roll Back's board. It was a Guinevere Merlin combo over there. Merlin now has the update every 2 spells you cast increase my boost by 1/1. I wonder how many spells. I wonder if Give Free Roll Back is making sure to use all mana every turn, because the size of the Demon Harbingers, the Guinevere Merlin combo, Merlin must be buffed somewhat.
Are we ever thinking about a core fusion on the Long John Silver? We don't really have huge stats anywhere other than the 1 Long John Silver on our board, so it's like no to core fusion.
The other really big problem that we saw play out last fight, we are very disruptible with this setup, and Give Free Roll Back knows that and played that Doppelganger Diamond Celery T. That is the perfect answer to what we wanted to set up here. That's going to be a problem the whole entire rest of the game.
Well, it is, and likely why this Long John Silver has found its way into the back row, because you have to worry about 1 Celery T, but 2 Celery Ts. That's really a problem potentially. But it's also awkward to play it in the back. You have enough summons, enough redundancy there that you still hope to get value, but fight RNG gonna be important. And then also something like Cersei's Cup is always something that we could see played by either player here and can make a big difference. We just tied the fight, so just disrupting in one way. Their Archdemon, Give Free Roll Back's Archdemon, if we found a way to disrupt that, would be pretty big.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden you wouldn't be seeing roughly 500 stats throughout the course of the fight, or 600. It's more than. Oof. Well, the Long John gets to go. Second Long John looks like it also will not get scammed by T yet. Having the extra body out of the portal wardrobe is doing a lot of work.
Yeah, these extra summons are making the difference big time here.
Yeah, this time around, those Harbingers just have our number. And 1-hit territory. Give Free Roll Back taking that one decisively and looking like it's going to take a little bit for Tikuwabu to be able to eclipse that.
Felt like it came
like you said, a lucky Cersei's Cup might be the answer.
Yeah. Felt like that one came down to fight RNG because that one didn't feel all that close after tying the fight before. And really, the comps didn't change drastically. Positioning was swapped around a bit, but fight RNG does seem like it's going to be a big part of this. But yeah, the Archdemon feels like a huge problem for us. I wonder even if we have a way to pick up a flying item or something on one of these tailors, if we can hope to pick it off in the back row potentially.
Ooh, we get a rummage, but we don't find anything particularly perfect for disruption. You don't hate a poison apple, but again, we don't have anything flying, so it's not doing that much.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe a chrono crystal?
Yeah, yeah, you would take it here, I believe.
Yeah, I think you would. Well, I'm just
Okay,
not
down
seeing
to
the perfect answers. And it's not like a
no.
fire mage is going to be the answer either.
Mm-mm.
That's not
No.
enough.
Down to 6 gold here. Currently, I don't know how much this really matters, but currently Harp not active with our board configuration.
Good boy does not seem to be the answer. Oh, thanks, good boy. Good to see you again.
I don't know. Can we find a fairy dust maybe?
Yeah, I was wondering about that Frank. We don't have enough evil.
No.
We'll never do anything. No real reason to poison this well.
I wouldn't think so either. They're summoning one character at a time. It's unlikely for that to be hugely important. But
I cannot blame Tikuwabu for using every last moment here to figure this one out, but I just think this one's really hard to figure out.
It is. 100% agree. This is hard to figure out. Okay, well, let's see. Let's see if Get Free Rollback going to be the spoiler here. And I'm sure all of the other 6 players not in the top 2 right now are cheering for Get Free Rollback because they want this to continue.
And Celery T taking out one of the tailors. The problem is we need those tailors at the end of the fight, too. We don't just need them at the start of the fight. We need them at the end. No Cersei's Cup out of the Book Mage. That would have been incredibly punishing for Tikuwabu. But it looks, again, like the scaling between... it. Give Free Roll Back really just riding the Guinevere Merlin combo here. And it turned out to be too much. It was way too many stats given on top of the Archdemon summons.
Yeah, the Archdemon summons ended up being so big there because it prevented Tikuwabu from being able to interact with the back row, even though there were plenty of stats from the summons from Tikuwabu. It just Give Free Roll Back was just throwing things in front of their back row over and over and over again, and it ended up being too much.
Well, GG, well played. Game number 3 being taken by Give Free Roll Back. It's not over, Yuck. We didn't see the back-to-back-to-back. As exciting as that is, I kind of like that we get to have another game here today. But before we want to send it into break, we don't want to linger too long. We now have Tikuwabu live. We had Tikuwabu live at the start of this last game. Jussius now is also live. Give Free Roll Back is 1 point short at 18 points of being live.
Weird, Horse. I'd only planned on casting 3 games today, so this kind of caught me off guard. I'm kidding, of course. It's crazy that it was even close to happening. Fun. And speaking of fun, let's have some more fun when we come back after a very short break, and then we'll get into game number 4.
Okay, welcome back again, everyone, as we're preparing for game number 4 for the July Fairy Tale Fables monthly tournament. Horse Thief, anything that you want to comment about from what we've seen so far today?
Well, I did have a comment, Yuck, and it really has nothing to do with what we've seen so far today, but there's something else on the line for this game 4 that I wasn't going to share, but I'll mention it. If the tournament ends right here, I will be going to my aunt's 87th birthday party. If we have a game 5, I will not. So we got a little extra drama I can add to this whole thing for you.
Okay. Well, so you're saying you also only plan for 3 games. That's what it sounds like here.
Actually, what happened was I had already agreed, and we decided to do this, and then I found out about it in the middle of this week, and I went, well, I got something going on. It might end in time, it might not.
Okay, well, to find out whether or not Horse Thief is going to make it to the birthday party, we are going to spectate Jussius, who we have paid attention to throughout this tournament. We have not spectated any of Jussius's gameplay, but we know they had a Spell Reflector game. They had another mage setup. This time we're going to get to see it from our perspective. And good luck to Jussius, who is live, by the way, has the potential to take it down, as we have just a couple of players live right now.
Yep, and another reminder, constantly be peppering these out throughout the course of the stream, ! Crystals, so that you can get your crystal code redeemed for the stream. But without further ado, let's watch Jussius, the only other live player, like you said. Jussius and Tiku Wabu, the only 2 people eligible to win the whole thing right now. We are ready.
Yep, we're ready, and these players are going to fight it out, continue to fight it out for the chance at the cash prize, as well as the winner border for the monthly tournament. So let's see if Jussius maybe can be the one, but we will have to keep an eye on everybody, as the players will also have to keep a close eye specifically on Jussius and Tiku Wabu.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, Give Free Rollback has a double crown border. I think we saw that when we were looking at Give Free Rollback, and I think we'll see that again in this game. Tiku Wabu's looking to get that double crown border. Meanwhile, Jussius is looking to just get that crown. I wonder who's hungrier.
I don't know. I wonder if we're going to get a mage game, because we haven't really seen a proper mage game today, and Jussius has played some mages, so that's what I'm hoping for here. But I'm also hoping for more chameleon action if we can come across that.
Yeah, we saw that Dionysus lead in, and I really was hoping. And we also but it was really that Aladdin game, wasn't it? The double spell reflector game, and that looked like it was going to be impossible to beat, and then all of a sudden it was possible to beat because those good boys were just so big.
Yeah, I will say we've seen an interesting mix of comps throughout today, late game comps. We've seen some things redundant, which is no surprise to see a lot of Brave Little Taylor, for instance. But like comps overall, we've seen a bit of a variety. Summons are always going to be strong, stats are always going to be strong, but I'm very curious to see not only who is going to make it to the end of this lobby, but what type of comp they're going to be playing.
I wonder if there may have been a bug with firing this lobby. It seems that Jussius didn't get a hero select and is immediately just kind of stuck staring at a fight screen. Maybe there's something that we're going to have to work out behind the scenes here.
I believe that is the case. I don't know if everybody had an issue. Certainly Jussius has encountered some type of issue through no fault of their own. I was wondering, it did feel like as the lobby was counting down that it had reset and something strange was happening there.
Let me just take a look. Yeah, I'm seeing they're restarting the game.
Okay.
They are restarting the game. So we'll have to give this one just a moment while we wait for them to get set up and get all filtered back into the lobby. Yeah, Yuck, you mentioned we saw one very complete, when I think about comps, right, I'm thinking about a stealth comp where it's all stealth pieces and all things that play with the twig and the Shadow Lord and certain things that you're putting. I'm thinking of a very specific buildup of like 5 things powering that comp plus 2 flex slots. When I'm thinking of a dog comp, I'm thinking of a very specific board that's got all manner of Neros and all these different things. And I think our players may still be playing. It looks like Jussius is navigating a turn. I think they're restarting. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. There. Where I wanted to go there though, what we saw Give Free Rollback win with last time doesn't constitute a classical comp, right?
Yeah.
It was big stats driven by a really potent combo of boosters. And then that was pretty much it. That plus an Archdemon to add extra bodies to the board, and then the scam mixed in with the big seller ETs being Doppelganger Diamond. We've seen a mixture of both. I think the only the true comp we definitely with the good boys, right? And that was via Fairy Tale that we got a whole lot of extra gold on our board that we wouldn't normally have been able to get down. It's been very scrappy. I think that's going to be pretty much the nature of it, right?
I think scrappy is a great word for it. It's been exactly that. Yeah, a lot of pieces that are played together and played very well and effectively. And again, a lot of different pieces that we've seen. Long John Silver and some hand summons in that last one. Well, hand summons, through Duelist and Crew Member, we may have seen some other times, but the Long Johns then giving stats to those characters you're going to summon, it makes all the difference. We saw some of those fights specifically that there was one fight you mentioned how great the RNG went for Tiku Wabu. We summoned in some big tailors. Those tailors then got multiple attacks. It's been fun to watch so far.
The other thing that was interesting that last fight for me, at the end of last month's tournament, Give Free Rollback did a write-up of every single game played. Give Free Rollback apparently paid attention while playing the games, took notes, had some log going on, and was able to write up it was in depth, quite a few paragraphs of information about how it was to play in day 2 of the tournament, what it was like on that 3 win in a row run that they were able to pull off. But one thing that stood out to me reading through that document, Give Free Rollback last month, we thought that hand summons, we thought that Captain Hook, we thought Long John Silver, we thought we were going to see a lot of it because it became kind of the flavor of the meta at that time right before the June tournament. And Give Free Rollback never played it. And then in the write-up, Give Free Rollback basically said, yeah, those are things, and you can make a lot of stats with those things, but I think basically said that they were easily disruptible and that they didn't really consider it to be a solid strategy that they like to play. And it was interesting here seeing that strategy. I was wondering if bumping into it, if Tiku Wabu would be able to make Give Free Rollback eat some of those words, but it's a very difficult comp to get everything to hit when you want it to hit.
Well, and we saw Give Free Rollback use Doppelganger on Celery T, which is something that forced Tiku Wabu to move Long John Silver to the back row. It just made everything very uncomfortable, I would say, for Tiku Wabu. Not to mention the potential to just totally shut down the comp altogether. So Give Free Rollback, very cerebral player, and you're talking about even so much so to be taking notes and really thinking things through. So it's going to be very adept at finding ways to play around what you're doing. Maybe one of the best, if not the best, when it gets to a top 2 scenario at understanding not only how to improve their own comp, but also how to play around what you're doing and positioning especially. I spent some time one-on-one talking with Give Free Rollback at one point with summoning Scam into the right position, and it's just it's very eye-opening at how much depth there can be with simple things in the game that everybody is already doing.
Yeah, there are some people that you look at how they play the game, or well, and I'll own it for myself, right? I look at how they play the game, and I think they know something I don't. They understand something in ways that I do not. These top 8 players today are those types of players. Give Free Rollback, who we're focusing on right now, very much one of those players. That combo of Guinevere Merlin to power an entire board, I don't know that I would have thought of that in the moment, but when you get Divine Messenger and you can get the boost scaled from Merlin to be more and more and more potent over time, that turned out to be just enough and be appropriate for that situation. Like you said, very cerebral player, very good at making things work together that I might not recognize work together. And I know we are still kind of just waiting for the lobby to fire up. Looks like they're filling and we're just getting the last person slotted in here. So just another moment, maybe. Looks like we're 7 to 8 in the lobby.
Yeah, we're waiting on one player. Hopefully they're not having any real issues and can hop back in quickly. Um, okay, yeah, we're getting an update here. Yeah, they are still trying to get that last player sorted. While we're waiting, though, again, you talked about making sure we continue to remind everybody. Let's do that again. Exclamation crystals for a crystal code. Get yourself some free crystals in the game. And I want to remind everybody again one more time as well. If you love the game and you haven't already left a review of the game, whether it be on Steam, on the Google Play Store, or on the iOS App Store, please be sure to do that. It is helpful to have good reviews on the game. People will see those, and it's always good to add more players to the game. And if you haven't done so, that's just your reminder to do that.
Well, Yuck, while we're still sitting here waiting for the lobby, I do want to touch on, we got a shout out to do today that we had not yet shouted. Want to shout out Once Upon a Galaxy. I know that's near and dear to your heart. I know you've been working on that with the team. You're part of the Million Dreamers, but Once Upon a Galaxy, much love to the Million Dreams gamers, yourself included, Yuck. Great 5-slot auto battler, and we got a lot of excitement coming up for Galaxy right into Gen Con, which is the 1st of August. So going to be seeing a lot of people playing that and getting their hands on it and exploring, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Gen Con. I'm very excited for Gen Con. I'm going to be there along with the team, and if anybody here is going to be at Gen Con, whether you've experienced the game or not, please stop by and say hello. I love meeting new people. Horse, somebody I've got or had the pleasure of hanging out with in person. As we're getting the lobby started, here we go. The lobby's on the countdown. But I'm very much looking forward to Gen Con, which I'm going to be leaving for here in just a few days. So always something exciting going on. And that's going to be a great time, hopefully. Okay, well, here we go.
I would like to second that and recommend that if you get a chance to meet Yuck, go meet Yuck. I got to do it. I liked it. It was good. I think you should do it too.
Yeah, please do. If anybody finds himself at Gen Con, please find our booth. Come hang out with us. Let me meet you in person. For now, we're going to spectate Jussius, who has the options of Ares, Peter Pan, Oinksburg, Mayor, and Mischievous Bruni.
This is an interesting selection of heroes. Jussius apparently going to Mischievous Bruni first. Ares would not be on my list here. Ares could certainly win a lobby, but I feel like a lot of things have to go right, and they don't always for me on Ares. That said, maybe there are some people who make it go right more often than I do. Peter Pan is risky when you're going for a win, because you won't have access to late game scam quite as easily as everybody else. Bruni, however, just kind of gives you a nice little stable early game. Yep, and Bruni is the pick. I have been seeing, I feel like, some talk about Oinksburg Mayor in the Discord, ! Discord reminder if you're not in there already and you want to be part of the conversation. I feel like some folks have learned some things on Oinksburg, and it's a little bit stronger than I might have thought in the past.
I find Oinksburg very interesting, but I could definitely see the case for Bruni here. If you're unsure or if you're on the fence, where it looked like some thought was going into that selection, Bruni is going to get you some value, and very importantly can give you value in the early game to help you make it to the late game. And well, you can't win the lobby if you don't make it to the late game. So looks like that's what we're going to bank on here.
Well, that was a very awkward shop too. You saw Jussius kind of wanted to lock for the 1-cost sword that last shop, but didn't want to lock a shop with no evils because you do want to keep getting that Bruni value. Surely we're not floating 2 gold here.
Yeah.
Okay.
we sold the hot potato to replace it with a hot potato, which left us with 2 gold. And we almost played too fast there. It's something I often have happen as well. Sometimes I play so fast that...
I know. It's a problem. You got to slow down sometimes. I keep telling you. I don't know why you won't.
Luckily, crisis averted. Not everybody else had readied up. We realized quickly, very quickly, in fact, that we needed to go ahead and recruit something else out of that shop, and we would pick up a Sprout.
We have seen, and I don't want to call shenanigans, Yuck. I don't want to say anything unfair. We have seen in the past people messing with us, the casters, on purpose.
True.
Yuck.
This is true.
I don't know if that's the case here. I can't say.
Yeah, that is very true. Interesting start here with Bruni. I mean, you did pick up evils on both the first and second turn, but they were both hot potatoes. So All right. Well,
And now you want to get your 2 gold back from the hot potato, but again, kind of like last turn, is it all that useful? You're probably going to buy both the evils here, and then you still got to do something with your remaining 2 gold.
what about the farm
Okay.
boy? Put the farm boy in front here. Maybe even put the sword on the farm boy. Maybe.
I mean, is the cat token still an evil summon? Maybe you just take the
Yeah,
sleeping cat?
sure. I could see that as well.
Yeah.
Guess we have.
We're gonna have Bluebell.
Yeah.
It looks like thinking about. I mean, Bluebell's not bad, but we might not have enough attacks at the moment to fire the stars.
Sure, Bluebell is not bad, certainly, but do we need kind of the tempo? Is what Bluebell is, where it feels like the cat would maybe stick around a little while. No, we're gonna play this spell, so that's gonna leave us 1 gold. We do have a sword we could sell potentially, or are we gonna play the spell? Wait a minute, talking about people messing with us.
Lots of thought going into whatever's happening here. Yeah, we're just gonna play the spell.
Interesting. Okay, we even just float a gold here.
I am surprised, but
yeah,
it's gonna turn out fine here. I can't say that there was a very obvious way to navigate that last shop. Whereas I look at this one and I go, okay, this one, I think I kind of like Acolyte Yellow Bark spell. You know, like this shop kind of speaks to me.
Yeah, this shop plays itself a lot more than the last one did, without a doubt. We'll see if Justius agrees. And I said I wouldn't mind seeing a mage game. We know Justius has done some things with mages today. Come on, go ahead, go. Oh, wait a minute. Are we not taking the Acolyte by chance?
No, we are.
Surely we are, right? Yeah, okay. There we go. I mean, okay, at this point I'm with you, Horse. I think Justius is intentionally messing with us. I really do.
Yuck, I don't know what to think anymore.
All right, well, either way, we ended up in the spot where you and I both thought we would end up, and I'm happy with this turn. I know you love Yellow Bark as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, this goes all the way back to Darkwood Creeper, and I know you know about my history, but the capacity to just get those free attack points and everything trades a little better. The Yellow Bark itself doesn't really trade for quite some time. It doesn't get enough attack built up, so it's kind of like you play an empty slot so that all of your other slots fight better. I like it when it works out well, and this is a good looking board to do it on.
Yeah, and we had a Blizzard in that shop as well, so instant value, and we already have a Sprout, which has been gaining a little bit of health over a couple of turns, so seems like a great pickup for us. Wait a minute. Our opponent actually got value out of a young Kappa, and it didn't have taunt, it wasn't attacked into immediately. I'm not sure how they pulled that off. We do still
Are
win
you sure you're not supposed to put a Kappa at the end of that statement? Yeah, because are you sure that happened?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Okay, we pick up a pair. Something we haven't seen out of the games that we've spectated today is a slew of early treasures. We've seen players get, a fairly early level 2 treasure, but we have not seen anybody chain together several treasures in the early stages of the game. So we pick up a pair here, Yellow Bark, in fact, a pair that we're happy to have. But with our remaining 3 gold, what do we do? I could see maybe taking the cat box here.
I feel like we're looking at the pirate gunner because it seemed to me like we were thinking about holding something in hand maybe to get both parrot and gunner value. I think maybe I'd still prefer the cat box and play a full board personally, but I think they're both valid.
Yeah, I agree. I think they are both valid. I was leaning more towards the cat box, but both seem like viable options, and we are going to prioritize the range character, which also is going to buff something in hand. But the thing is, the thing that we're buffing in hand is something that by the time you get some buffs on it may not really be so desirable on your board.
Like even if it catches both buffs this turn, a husky would still be bigger next turn out of the not next turn after, but a husky will still be bigger out of the shop.
Right.
Yeah. But maybe we'll get 1 turn of value playing the small imp. Oh, and neither. Well, I mean, you always get the pirate gunner value, but we did not get the young parrot value.
You know what did happen?
We still draw
in that fight. A lot of attacks happened, and when a lot of attacks happen and there are yellow barks on your board, you've likely gained some attack. And
that's true.
We did that. It feels like now our characters on board are formidable. Yellow bark that's 7 attack and 8 health, with the other one being 3 attack as well. They don't feel like they're only there for their ability right now, but also as decent characters by themselves.
So you mentioned we hadn't seen a whole flurry of treasures on any of the games we had spectated thus far. I want to see the game where we get the early spike treasure. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
someone pulls a level 7 or a level infinity treasure super early, or someone gets the early level 6. Now we do have a Fisher King in this lobby, so someone might get that game this game. The Fisher King start looks like it's going at least all right based on health pool. If they line up Magic Bean or a baby mimic, something like that, there might be something particularly spicy over there this game.
This felt like a good turn. We found another Blizzard, which I'm sure we're happy to pick up. We picked up an Acolyte pair, and there's a Curse Rose. We don't have the mana to try to get to it this turn. It can be a little bit awkward to lock as you're going to level up, but Curse Rose does fit very well with both the spell cast and the Blizzard damage for the Yellow Bark. So it really is a perfect character to pick up next turn.
I feel like we'd be a lot happier with that Cursed Rose lock if we had a Sunstone already, because then we'd be double dipping on the Yellow Bark sunbathing effect. But because we don't, it's still good, and I guess we do still lock. It's something we're happy enough to get, and it's probably better than most of the 4-drops we're going to see. It makes it a little awkward in my mind.
Well, let's not overlook that this is Tikuwabu as our opponent playing Bearskin, the other player that is live. We aren't able to deal any damage to him, so we're going to have to keep a close eye on Tikuwabu on their Bearskin. One of the two players, Justius, the player we're spectating, and Tikuwabu on the Bearskin, the two players that can win the tournament by winning this lobby. And here we go with the treasure.
We're definitely going to want that.
Mage treasure, maybe. There are a few mage treasures on level 3.
Are we looking at the sunflower here?
Oh, I think we are.
Over there, too.
Oh,
well, the sunflower would go, in between the young yellow barks, because it's giving sunlight to the adjacent slots. Now, I don't know how well that's going to work with a frontline Acolyte playing too. It's awkward. It's weird.
It is awkward. It'll be a lot easier if you can triple the yellow bark, and then also play the Acolyte in the back row. But, yeah, this is tricky. So tricky that Justius is thinking about what they want to do here. You're definitely going to take that triple in the treasure. So I guess you can start with that and figure it out from there.
Thinking Storybook initially, but there's also a Chrono Crystal. Baby Mimic, maybe not right now. I could see just grabbing that Chrono Crystal too, of course.
Yeah, I'm thinking more towards Baby Mimic. Chrono Crystal can sometimes allow you to survive and then win the game. But you do need to win the game. It's the only thing that matters for Justice is first place. So I don't know if that affects the way that they value the Chrono Crystal there, but it certainly crosses my mind as far as I'm not trying to survive one more turn to get second. So we'll see how that plays out. Does, in fact, pick up the Sunflower. It's interesting how to position this.
We do get our Cursed Rose, which means that we're getting both attack and health from the Yellow Bark now on the Yellow Bark effect. So
there you go.
We get a little bit of benefit from that sunflower. The way the sunflower is working is it's giving sunlight to the adjacent slots, and then when Yellow Bark is sunbathing, it suddenly adds both attack and health, not just attack. And now with the combined Yellow Bark, you can move Acolyte back to the back corner, and you feel pretty good about the whole positioning, I think.
Yeah, this is what we really needed to fix our positioning. And I just said we hadn't seen anybody really start to chain together a slew of treasures. Not that I would call 2 treasures a slew, However,
people are like, oh baby, we're hitting treasures left and right.
However, it does feel like we've got some momentum going at this point. It feels like things are clicking a bit. What are we choosing here? There are a couple of mage treasures offered. We are, in fact, still going to go for the Chrono Crystal, though.
And we're going to go no mana next turn. We're going to take the mana asceticism, it looks like, go to 5 a turn early, which it feels good to go to 5 a turn early, but we wouldn't maybe have minded having some mana to use, too. Mm-hmm. Oh, and now we're going to get some sunbathing effects on our Smiling Sprout, potentially?
On the Cursed Rose. On the Cursed Rose, it looks like, which does have an added effect from sunlight.
Oh, right. Yeah, who cares about the Sprout? The Sprout's just there to get numbers.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting positioning. I didn't anticipate this, but I like it. I think here maybe you just buy a 2-cost character to bank the gold for next turn, unless we're locking for this pair of Yuck the Yaks.
Oh, we definitely wait. We don't have any mana next turn.
Well,
yeah, we're definitely locking for the X.
well,
yeah.
Minor detail. Okay.
Deciding let's probably get
I,
more value.
Yeah, I like the creativity of the other positioning. I feel more comfortable with this, but I don't know. I was interested to see how it was going to play out the other way as well.
Well, interestingly, you talked about how, sure, Chrono Crystal might buy you another turn, but you do have to figure out how to win the lobby. I was kind of looking at that Wizard Hat instead of the Chrono Crystal in that select. Oh, whoa. As Synesthesia's Chameleon turns into an Oberon, that's a Symbol of Unity board over there. They got +2 experience. There's probably a Future Vision in play.
We did win the fight, though. That's pretty big. We are going to be on level 5. And the only level 5 that we can actually take out of this is Watson, because we don't have mana for the Succubus, even if we want it.
All right, well, Watson, not so hot.
I don't know. Looks like there's some thought. I mean, we haven't rolled past it yet.
We don't have anything to hand summon yet. Now, hunting could be a ticket. That could punch our ticket to first here.
Yeah, it's also a little awkward because our back row, we already have things that really kind of want to stay in the back row, I think. I know we had already, considered putting the Sunflower into the front row and moving some things around. So maybe that's the consideration right now is, do you want to move your back row to the front to kind of come up with an entirely new idea for the back row? It looks like we are really considering the Watson here.
Well, this is also where player preferences are really going to play in. And you and I, of course, aren't going to know everybody's preferences. But if Jussius really likes to hunt and kind of favors it, might be a little bit more emphasis on that. Looks like we're opting not to. Portal Wardrobe and Gretel, no to both.
Yeah, I don't mind passing on the Watson. It is a little awkward when you roll past a Watson straight into a Gretel, knowing that you could have had both of those this turn. We are instead going to end up with a Kiv here.
We don't have mana to get that new Sunlight item in the shop, so can't pick up the Firefly. Sunlight 5, that's a pretty big buff too for things that play with Sunlight.
Yeah, we do have characters that have benefits from Sunlight, but it's just so awkward. We don't really want to float 3 gold. Doesn't seem like a great option. Do we ever want to lock for experience? Man, this felt like such an awkward turn. 10 gold. We picked up a Kiv, which is fine, right? But it's not a perfect fit for our board.
No, it's really not. We don't have a single royal. The Cursed Rose is not a royal.
Yeah.
The Acolyte's not a royal, so we won't get free shots. Oh, the Rose going first and popping the back protector shield. Quite good for us. Yep. Now the Fairy buffed the Fairy, which buffed an Agent of the Moon, but we have a lot of stats stacked up from the Sunlight right now.
We do. Yeah, this Yellow Bark has really done a lot in this one. Once it has the Sunlight, it's really made our board super strong for this stage of the game. We haven't snap picked the experience. We're thinking about it, and yeah, there it is.
I mean, this is not going to be your mage game. We have spent half of the last 4 turns without mana.
I mean, just because we passed Sphere and Merlin's Hat, and it probably aren't taking the Crystal Sage. I mean, it doesn't mean, okay, we're probably not. We do have.
I feel like you're having the band's gonna make it moment. It's not gonna happen. I don't think it's happening yet.
It's probably not happening, which is okay. Although we have done some mage things in this one, for what it's worth, and I could see taking a Crystal Sage here. I really could.
This right here is an example of why I buy Acolyte so much when I play this game. So often it is so useful and trades 2 or 3 for 1 that I just am so happy to when I pick it up most of the time.
I don't know how much
for you, friend.
I don't know how much we wanted that second Curse Rose. It does fit well now. I don't know if it's going to be part of the long-term plan, but I think I visibly and audibly reacted when we see the Curse Rose with plenty of gold, but no mana.
Oh, wow. And now I just noticed that Fisher King with the Symbol of Unity early is running low on health. You kind of have to hit something that works with it to make it feel good as a pickup pretty quick. Otherwise, it doesn't do anything. That's a level 5, and you need on Fisher King, you need your level 5 treasure to do something big.
You know what I'm noticing?
What?
I'm noticing that the top 2 players are our 2 live players. We
Oh.
have the highest health at 29. In second place, that is Give Free Roll Back. Or sorry, Tiku Wabu. My apologies. Give Free Roll Back just out of being live at 18 points. But that's Tiku Wabu on the Bearskin. So, yeah.
No shock, really. Bearskin does really well in the early game.
Yeah, so this could come down to an interesting finish. All these other players still fighting for these points, though, so they can become live.
Let's take a look at Kaisop. Got some star tech. Is that the infinity treasure?
Yeah.
Or is that the level 6 infinity treasure? Either way, enough for Kaisop to tie that fight.
Yeah, that one's going to be stacking up some stats. It does take time before it really feels like it got a lot of value, but we'll see. Okay.
I wonder if now we're starting to see a little bit of Justius's tendencies. We did see the Kiv pick up on a board that wasn't perfect for Kiv, and now locking into Uther, definitely veering towards some boost. And there's also a boost ring in that shop.
Well, it could be tendencies. I certainly agree that tendencies do show themselves, even if you're not trying to let them. It could also simply be that boost is such a strong late game comp that you've managed the early game well enough to still have 29 health. So you can take the time to transition into a comp like boost, which is not always something you're afforded the luxury of. And especially with the Chrono Crystal, it just feels like we have a lot of time. And if you have a lot of time, why not go for one of the stronger comps here?
Well, the other nice thing about a boost comp is we might be able to run front row Taylor, front row Celery Tea. We saw Give Free Roll Back relying on boost mechanics last game to get incredibly strong. The new Merlin being able to scale its boost effect with spells that you cast. Now, granted, we don't have any extra mana, so it's not like we would scale it super fast, but every little point that it gives is another big point that we would not mind having. It looks like we're wanting to make 5 gold here.
Yep.
I think we can. If we really want to, I think we can.
I think we can as well. Looks like we're considering between a couple different options in the shop, though. We are, in fact, taking the Uther. Does that mean we're still locking the shop? I'm not happy about locking the shop here if we've already grabbed the Uther.
Yeah, I don't think we want the Galahad that badly. I think we're just repositioning, and then we'll go ahead and unlock. We kept the Sunflower because it powered the entire board for so many turns, and we didn't really want to get rid of it, but it's really not going to come back, I don't think. Maybe if we combine the Uthers, but we're going to just be looking for Guinevere's and Merlins and what have you, it seems.
I will say we got more than our 4 gold worth out of that Sunflower, so that was a very nice pickup. Happy to go ahead and remove it. It did what we needed it to do. Time to move on.
Well, and when it got picked up, you and I don't think saw it initially, and Justius saw it right away.
Yeah.
And it ended up being incredibly convincing. So yeah, I like that especially.
Okay, well, both of these Uthers get attacked into, which give the free shots from Kiv. Ends up being a big deal, and Stonehenge Druid gets knocked out.
GG Stonehenge. Oh, and Odin also. We're in top 6 now.
We are.
And still at the top of the leaderboard, the 2 people that if you're anyone else in the lobby, you do not want to see still at the top of the leaderboard.
Oh, that's Give Free Roll Back in 3rd place as well, who is not live, but just outside of it. And there's a Merlin. There we go.
That's a big find.
Do we want to switch heroes as well? We have 5 gold left.
You know, we might. It's every 2 spells we cast that Merlin's boost effect goes up. I wonder if there's a mind of maybe wanting to cast 2 different spells this turn, but it's unlikely with $5 left.
I mean, and it's not like our hero power is doing a whole lot at this point. I mean, we have a couple evil characters. The downside, though, is then you can't roll and potentially find another character that you want to play. And
yeah, I'm starting to think this was a pretty good choice to roll.
Yeah, this ends up being fantastic. It's one of those situations where I think Justius also wanted to swap heroes, but how much do you value it in comparison to the other options? And this worked out what I think is better in the end.
Interesting now. It's a little awkward positioning for best possible free shots from the Kivs here.
Yeah.
This does look like it's the best positioning if you want to maximize your free shots from Kiv.
Yeah. Yeah. The Uthers may not give you kit value because they're not ranged like the Merlin, but you want to delay the Uthers as well. So I like this positioning. Um, these kits are pretty sizable when you compare it to the board that we're looking at there, which is not our opponent, but just to give you a sense of how big things are right now. These kits should be very useful if they in fact get bonus attacks.
It's interesting though, the Uthers are not going to retain their own backwards boost effect when they go down. So you take out an Uther and the Kiv gets the free shot, but it's going to be smaller when it does. So it's a little deceiving. It's a little hard to predict how this is all going to go.
Well, what's interesting is we just saw the Fisher King and they have a harp. I didn't get a great look at the board, but that gives a lot of extra stats. They are on very low health. I believe they've even taken damage since they picked up the harp, which would be very interesting if that's the case. Also, have to remind myself and everybody else that we are plus experience. We played a couple of experience spells in this one.
Yeah, here we go. By the time the Kivs got to shoot, they were down to 27 attack left. We cannot handle the harp stats.
Yeah. That was a nice harp board as well with some summons.
We're going to need to get an Uther in the back, and we're going to need to get some different boosters up front. I know we haven't found them yet, and that's what we're looking to do, but we're going to need to do that.
What about the boost ring?
They're hard to ignore. They add a lot of stats.
I feel like you can justify 4 gold for a boost ring. I mean, you also need more boost characters now. Another Merlin, a Guinevere. We need a lot. You know,
we do.
We knew we would need a lot, though. Justius knew that it's a long transition to get into boost. But again, I want to go back to being very healthy going into the later stages of the game, making this even possible. So we'll see if we find things quick enough. There's another boost ring.
Well, suddenly if we take that, then that's the last thing we're doing this turn.
Yeah.
But again, boost rings are pretty handy. We need to get one of these Uthers in the back, though. I was hoping we'd find another booster that we could throw up front. Even a Galahad, for crying out loud, so that we could get one Uther in the back.
Right.
So that we don't have so many stats melt when the front row goes down, because the Uthers up front are really suboptimal.
You're spot on. This is a push and pull scenario where you want to do it, you don't want to do it. It kind of, for me, works out so perfectly when you have 4 gold left and it costs 4 gold. And now the way I feel is we are like one Merlin or Gwen away from getting a huge power spike. And I think we can pretty aggressively try to find one of those starting next turn. We have 20 health. We have a Chrono Crystal. It's hard for me to pass up one of the pieces that you want. Now, that's not the biggest and best boost ring you can find, but it's also not the worst. I think it's worth the 4 gold here. We're just hoping for a good turn next turn. Although there is also the consideration of we're facing Tikuwabu, the other live player. Getting stronger this turn also could have really mattered.
It's that push and pull, like you said. Yeah, and it is incredibly evident right here. You hope that the first Uther to go down is the one right in between your 2 Kivs, and then you get 2 nearly full power Kiv shots, and then I think your fight's probably going to go just fine. If it plays out kind of like the last fight just played out, I think Tikuwabu's probably winning this round.
Okay, well, let's get a real good look at what Tikuwabu's been doing. That's an Arthur board, also doing some boost things here.
Reminding me of Give Free Roll Back's board last time around with the Archdemon and the Gwen Merlin back for free roll, but in this case it's Gwen Uther. Tikuwabu, too many stats for Justius right now. A lot can change in one turn, like you said, though.
Yeah.
We find the right Guinevere, we find the right Merlin, we find a couple of things, and this board just kind of balloons in power.
We are down to 12 health, though. 12 health is a lot different than 20. There's a Chrono Crystal still, so it's not like we're
Chrono Crystal
completely worried, but it does start to feel quite a bit different when your health gets to a point where one fight can go poorly. 12 health gives you a little bit of buffer room, but I wouldn't say it's at a comfortable spot at this point. So we need our turns to really come together, this one and the next turn as well. Holly's gold, if we take the extra gold, could help to ensure that we can improve our board next turn.
All 3 of these look interesting in their own right. I think I wanted the hero mask I like the
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of chasing hero mask to get anything. See if we can find a Savitri, see if we can find a Fisher King, see if we can find, just something with a big impact effect. I might have leaned that way, but I can't be too mad at the Holly's Gold, especially with the Chrono Crystal. We're not going anywhere right now.
Yeah. So it looks like our upcoming opponent is Ayane on 1 health. We have 3 players who are on 1 health or very close to 1. I think the
The
Fisher
Fisher
King
King
is
was on
3.
2, we saw,
Oh,
yeah.
was it 2? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so not really a big difference between 1 and 2.
Yeah. All right. Can we find a piece that wants to play on our board? Not in these shops. We still have a little bit of gold left. Could gain 5 health.
The Narcissus. And then all of a sudden, we probably don't lose our Chrono Crystal to the next hit.
Okay.
Okay. We're having to take our time, and I don't like it. I wanted to find something bigger now.
I don't like it
didn't want to
either.
wait 2 turns for something bigger.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Justice is probably going to be on board with us as well. Although, if you can't find your pieces, then stall and delay the game, prolong your, chances, give yourself more turns. Gaining health honestly felt like it saved that turn. That was very near a turn that felt catastrophic to me. I don't think it was a great turn to simply end up healing there, but it felt like it was a way to salvage what wasn't going well.
I know 4 yards per run will move the chains, Yuck, but I was really hoping we could rip off a 30-yarder.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, well said.
All right, like you said, Ayane Jean. We've got a little bit of Slay going on with a Woman in the Moon back there. In addition,
and some Romeo Juliet.
That Juliet big enough to fight. Juliet came to party, and Ayane's got a Chrono Crystal still intact.
Everybody's
like
got
us.
a Chrono Crystal. It's the thing to do. It's what all the cool kids are doing these days. There's an Ascendance. Merlin likes Ascendance, but it takes so much gold. However, with Holly's Gold giving us some extra gold, makes it a little easier to consider it. Are we going to do it?
There's so much thought being given to every single decision, because every decision feels like it matters, because it does matter. Yeah. Every gold you spend, everything that gets you a little bit closer to this part, but a little bit, farther away, because now you need to wait another turn for this other thing. It's tough. You got to really think about these spots.
I'm gonna say I like playing the Ascendants, and tournaments are so much fun. Just to follow up on what you're saying, it does feel like every decision matters. And
good boy. Doesn't really fit here.
I mean, how happy are you that there's still a yellow bark on this board, by the way?
I am shocked in some regards, but yeah, it's great. I do like our friend the yellow bark, the intrepid yellow bark here, barking it up.
So this is a spot where I think you go so many shops without seeing what you want that you start considering, should I not tunnel vision and go for what I really want? I'm still at 17 health with the Chrono Crystal, interested in looking for the best piece here, as opposed to I have 5 gold and there's a good boy. Good boy is not really the best way to improve this board. I want to ignore it, even if it means we don't improve our board this turn, which, to be fair, we do have some items we can sell. We have a couple characters on board. We could still roll into one of these pieces that we really want this turn. That's what I would like to do. What do you think?
I am on board with that. I think if that were an Arthur, I'd buy it. Even though I still really want Guinevere and Merlin more. I think with Arthur, I would say, okay. But with Good Boy, the problem is this buffs your back row. Now, you could talk me into picking up that Royal Phoenix because it'll get a lot of stats where the yellow bark is with the boost ring. And you could that actually has a lot of value. Plus, you can throw it in front of the Kivs as well. Actually, no, you just got to buy the Phoenix. What am I saying? Now you can finally put an Uther back. You just put the Phoenix in between the Kivs, right? Send an Uther to the back.
That's what I was thinking. We are instead putting the boost
We're going to make the biggest Phoenix we possibly can.
On the Phoenix. But I'm with you, though. I think the Phoenix is more reasonable than the Good Boy there. It's not ideal, but it seemed like a worthy pickup for the amount of gold that we had left.
Good Boy was something you only could put in the back and that you never wanted to put in the back. Oh, and Zillalag out here doing the counteract to the Kiv by just taking away the royal tags.
Yeah.
Guess when Kiv can't shoot back, when you don't even have a single royal on the board, and that's an upgraded Dr. Frank. Dealing a lot of damage down to 3.
I will say, though, healing with that soul absorption a couple turns ago ends up being massive because we still have a Chrono Crystal thanks to the extra health that we gained.
That is a big Radiant Fury on that bench that's going to drop onto the board.
Okay.
That's awkward, but we wanted it. But did we want it right this second?
Well, the Kiv is one of those that can be very awkward to combine.
Man,
Mixed feelings here, really. Philosopher's Stone.
does the Philosopher's Stone even do anything when all it's upgrading is Uther and you just don't care? I think maybe you go Hero Mask or Poison Apple here, honestly. Poison Apple at least can do something. Hero Mask has a lot of potential. You could hit something good here.
We are going to go Hero Mask. You mentioned earlier you wanted to see the Hero
Midas.
Mask. What about these options?
I don't love them.
Yeah. You could say that.
Wayward Sisters might be interesting. Midas means you get shinies quicker, but then good luck getting treasures ever again.
Yeah.
We got a lot of gold left, though.
We do.
All right. Well, looks like it's going to be Midas.
I don't love it. I don't know. I mean, I don't love any of the options.
Yeah, I think we did kind of have to go Leprechaun. If we consolidate these Uthers and then we don't get any other treasures and we don't get anything for it.
Okay.
Shard of Excalibur.
I like Shard of Excalibur.
Yeah, I think the Hero Mask can go.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think we keep the gold, provided we got the Chrono Crystal. We need. I think we would have picked up a Galahad, and I don't think I've seen a single one. Like even just a small, low level.
Sorry, we're both excited here and trying to talk, but I was gonna say the item. You can't get to it, but man, that's the boost item, which would be nice. Oh, there was a 4-cost boost ring, but at some point you gotta find the pieces. I mean, the shop might not let you, but at some point, you know, like where are the Merlins? Where are the Guinevere's? Unfortunately, we did float 2 gold there, so. Hopefully we didn't miss out on what could have been a shop with the pieces we need.
Oh, we don't have a way to disrupt hand summons at all. Those are coming out full stats. This looks terrifying. Look at that. Look at that angelic commander in the back corner. That's going to eat us alive. There goes our Chrono Crystal. All right, it's got to come together now. It's now or never.
Well, the Shard Crystal. Well, this is a good example of how a game can turn on its head, really. It felt like things were going well. We were pivoting towards boost comp, and yeah, it's just like we've just run into a brick wall, and we haven't been able to improve. It feels like we have technically improved, but it feels like for so many turns, where it's just not quite coming together.
Well, I just said it's now or never, and we got a ghost fight. Presumably, we have another turn.
Yeah. We do use a Shard of Excalibur on an Arthur, so I don't know if the original plan was to play into an Arthur comp, but it feels like that's going to be the plan now. Maybe this is, I don't know, plan B. But it's still right now isn't great. We have an Acolyte on our board. We have a level 2 character currently on the board.
I feel like we need an angle on Divine Messenger now that we've gone upgraded Arthur, and we had to kind of do it.
Yeah.
You know, the shop didn't give us the perfect boost pieces to build that in a timely enough fashion, but now it's like the game, yeah, it's just driving us in a different direction yet again. Even though, you know, it's an offshoot to a direction we were already headed, but still not comfortable.
I feel like we want to put the Phoenix in slot 4 here, right? Yeah, here we go. Okay, this looks a little better to me.
I think we're Uther back, Merlin front.
Yeah. No, Merlin can stay in the back. No. I think Merlin stays in the back behind the Arthur here. I do think you move the boost ring to the Arthur, though. Okay. Now
we only have the one. Uther is the only boost effect on the front.
Yeah, here we go.
And then I think we just scoot the Royal Phoenix forward here.
Well, the boost ring then goes to the Kiv in the back, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Unless you want to put it on the Arthur, I guess is the other consideration.
I love hear us both speculating. The true story about Boost, and you and I both know it, is a lot of the time you just move a lot of stuff around until you go, okay, this is where it's at.
Yeah.
And here we are going like, I think it's this and that, and then we just really want to get Max Arthur value,
Well,
I think.
I like it the way it is, and we'll see, because it may look very different after one more turn. Because you're right, there do tend to be moving pieces when you're playing a boost comp, and this is not a freebie. I would say this is not a pushover comp.
No, the Arthur stats are doing a lot of good. We're going to lose one of these Kivs, but I think one of them survives.
Yeah, the harp stats are a lot, though. That's man, incredibly close for a player that
Wow.
did not even play their turn, and yeah, maybe even a couple of turns.
That was a Tyvia Witch Hunter's Talisman too. It was a draw in the end, and that does not make you feel comfortable when you need to win the whole thing.
There's so much happening.
However, Tiku Wabu is out of health too. Wow, now 3 people look like they're again on 1 or 2 health, and one person's on a little bit more, but nobody's healthy.
Our current opponent is Ayane, who lost their Chrono Crystal. So it's no longer active. We have both of the live players in the top 4. Everybody's low health. So this one, without us having a Chrono Crystal, Ayane does not have a Chrono Crystal. This one should start to show us who's going to win this one pretty quickly. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see 2 people knocked out after this next fight that's coming up.
Well, that Cersei's Cup could be a big deal, and there's another one that you could potentially lock for if you really wanted to.
Yep. I think that's why we're paused here thinking about it. I wouldn't mind it. It's a little.
This board suddenly looks so much better than 2 turns ago, right?
It's significantly better, but it's also not what I would call amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we're pretty far into this one. Like, we've played a lot of turns. Turn 18. This does not necessarily look like a game-winning board for turn 18, at least through my eyes.
It looks like we are going to save up that Cersei's Cup.
Yeah.
It is such a powerful late-game tool that you kind of got to consider it in this spot. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it could even be that next fight is the final fight. We got to make it there, though. There's no guarantee that we make it to next turn to be able to play that Cersei's Cup.
How funny that we have found at least 4 treasures, and now we just have Holly's Gold.
Yeah.
All the other treasures have vacated the premises. We just have some money now.
That's a great point. You know, if we had played mages and had taken Sphere, or, never mind.
Well, let's see what Ayane has done, and let's see if Ayane has reacted to this board. Things like Celery Tea, we saw give free roll back using that against Josias. Ayane just has a bunch of stats and a doppelganger extra good boy for good measure. And good boy's caught all the hurting dog stats. Ayane's still got a lot of power left as long as the good boys pop in the right order, and it looks like that's too much for Josias here.
That is in fact too much. All right, we're gonna have to give a quick look to see if somebody else got knocked out. I say we spectate Tiku Wabu if we have the ability to do so as a player who's still...
just because Tiku Wabu is live.
Okay. Actually, that was the only player that got knocked out there. We are in the top 3 now.
So that's Tiku Wabu is our Bearskin. Ayane is our Jean. Who is Kaisop? Kaisop is our Sinbad. Okay. So Tiku Wabu, the only person left in this lobby who is currently live, the only one who can win the whole tournament if they can win right here. And Tiku Wabu's got a good board, and it's got a mixture of stats and scam, which is pretty potent combination in Fairy Tale Fables.
Yeah, and there's a Cersei's Cup as well, which can be very big, but this is a ghost fight, so maybe with 14 gold, there's no way I think that you want to lock that. Worth noting here, Kaisop with the first place here would become live at exactly 19 points, has 9 points currently. Ayane, however, with a win, still would not be live, and then Kaisop also would not be live if Ayane wins. So some interesting storylines still available here for us.
So, Yuck, are you telling me that if you're Tiku Wabu, you want to win, if you're Ayane, you also want to win, and if you're Kaisop, you really want to win?
Yeah, I am telling you that. I'm also telling you there are 5 other players that have already been knocked out of this lobby that are cheering, probably slightly more for Ayane, but definitely for Kaisop and Ayane.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what I'm telling you.
Now, I look at this board, and I don't think Tiku Wabu's going down easy. This looks pretty convincing to me, and those Dr. Franks are just going to get better and better as time goes on here too. We don't have a lot of evils, so we see it's not coming out of the hand yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's
well, actually, no, it is. We got Golden King.
Yeah, it's Golden King, so we'll summon from hand, but what is it really doing? I mean, there's an Archdemon, and so it looks like the plan is to summon in the Tailor, let the Tailor summon summon characters from the Archdemon with stealth on the Dr. Frank.
Yeah, it looks like we're just taking what we can get from this one.
I don't know. This could work, right? With the stealth orb on the Dr. Frank could allow it to survive long enough to get all the Archdemon summons.
Yeah. And based on the positioning, it'll be in slot 1 where it won't attack forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, this is nice.
Oh yeah, and you can see what happened here. Tikuwabu was able to make a 700 back row. Even once this Arthur goes down on Jussius' side of the board, we're only getting up to 300. Jussius just did not find everything.
Yeah.
Got a good start to it and then just couldn't find the rest.
Yeah, we got to see it, and it's exactly what you're saying. Set up well for a boost comp, and then the boost comp just never came together. The shop just didn't really cooperate. Saw the one Merlin and then used Descendants on it, which is very expensive to do so. Seemed like a solid play, but never found another Merlin. Never saw a Guinevere, and yeah, sometimes that happens, and the damage just added up quickly. Okay, we are into the top 2.
Yeah, that's Jussius knocking out Ayane. GG, well played. And Tikuwabu, just like that, is going entirely scam and getting rid of the boost.
Well,
what?
We are adjusting our board based on our opponent for sure. Yeah. And I do like that we're doing this at the start of the turn, because this does feel very important to get this right.
I want to see Kaisop's board again. I figure we'll get another scout here shortly. I want to see, I was not paying close attention to what Sinbad value we're getting over here. What treasures are being doubled up?
Okay, we are gonna wolf the Dr. Frank in the back.
1 health when you're on 1 health doesn't feel like much health. Oh, it's all hand summons, and we're getting a big Radiant Fairy to drop on the front row, powering up a giant Angelic Commander Archangel combo.
Well, no wonder we're leaning into the scam here, because you don't want to fight that with stats, I suppose.
No, not really. Another wolf. We're too broke for that.
Dr. Frank as well.
Now, anything we put on the starting board will be golden. It looks like we're grabbing another Dr. Frank, if I had to guess. We're getting rid of all of our stat units. Yeah, they're all gone.
I do think we need as much scam as we can get here.
And we'll drop a double Frank. We'll drop a double Frank on the board.
Okay.
I think we put the Stealth Orb Frank in the second slot. Yep. Just like this. Holy scamages.
All right, let's see.
It's about to get scammy.
I mean, RNG is going to help determine this one for sure.
Oh, yeah. RNG is taking the whole wheel here. All right. Tikuwabu needs every single Tailor attack. Oh, no. The hit order was terrible here.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's kind of awkward with the Tailor in slot 1, because the Tailor reduces the stats of what it attacks into and then doesn't clear that board spot. We need a lot of help, and I mean a lot of help here. I'm not confident we're going to get it. It's not impossible, though.
It all depends if that Tailor in the back sticks around a little longer. Mirror on the Wall contesting the Angel stats quite good. Tailor in the back surviving to be useful. And the Spider up front has done so much work. It took all the health off of the Archangel.
Wow.
Well, one thing is for sure, Kaisop is the stats, but one other thing is for sure, we got a lot of scam, and if that went a little bit better, we could have definitely won that combat. Although, if it had gone a little worse, we definitely could have been out of the lobby here too. I don't know how to predict this one, Yuck.
I don't either. And Kaisop has 10 health, so there is a world where Tikuwabu can win a fight and it still not be over. So, yeah, this one, I mean, it feels a little bit stressful for me, so I imagine for these players it is even more so. But, I mean, you're making decisions that can certainly matter, but
end of the day, you just need some good summons, some good attacks if you're Tiku Wabu. Just kind of hoping for the best.
At the end of the day, it mostly matters where your mirror on the wall decides to go.
Yeah.
That mirror on the wall, I mean, that it wasn't the only thing that saved the fight, but that was huge.
I like that we're reconsidering our positioning, as we saw how awkward it was with the Taylor in slot 1 and the Dr. Frank. That is worth mentioning, right? We did not really get value, or not much value at least, from the Dr. Frank that summoned out of our hand. So if we can get extra value somehow, that could be the difference maker.
Yeah, absolutely could. And then having it go Taylor hit into Taylor hit would be quite good for us too. We would love that little combo. So I'm liking this positioning that we're seeing coming out here. Looks like we're going to pick up another crew member, just slow down the Dr. Frank portion of the summon. Not a lot of money left to work with, so we're going to have to just kind of do something here. A little food on the Taylor. Another Dr. Frank. I guess so.
If that's your game plan, might as well consider adding another. Let's see if there's another turn or not. This one, I think, could go any which way at this point.
I do like that our Golden King Dr. Frank has reached slot 7. So we're saying if we can win this thing and that Dr. Frank is popping anywhere late in the sequence, we're going to win big.
You see the Celery Tea does not hit the crew member, so it does not disrupt the hand summons here.
Ooh, Taylor spawned but didn't get to attack. That would have been a freebie for Tiku Wabu. I mean, Kaisop is just going to be a monolithic pile of numbers that we can't do anything about unless we get the right scam in the right spot, hitting the right thing. So all of this is just kind of an interim portion of the combat that really doesn't seem to affect the overall combat that much in my mind.
Oh,
triple book mage.
The book mages aren't necessarily what you want. Sometimes they can hit you with a good spell, but that's not the case.
Teasing any of them. Well, here's our last Frank summon. We got another big mirror on the wall. Our Taylor in slot 1 is apparently just hit proof.
Yeah.
It dodged everything. How is our mirror going to do into all of this?
Not enough. How is this even so close? It's so close. It does lead to Kaisop winning, which, as I mentioned, means that Kaisop will be live for the next game, and it means we have another game. So that birthday party.
Yuck, you're gonna have to say happy birthday to my octogenarian aunt, because I'm not gonna get to do it. We're doing a game 5.
Happy birthday to your aunt, and GG to all these players. We were in a scenario where it looked like we might have it end in 3. No, definitely not. It also does not end in 4 games. We'll look over the leaderboards and let you know what they look like when we get back. But we're gonna have even more players live for game number 5. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
And we're back. Thank you for spending your time with us today and joining us for day 2 of the July monthly tournament. We're going to be going into game number 5 here, where we have 4 players live at this point, Horace. We have Give Free Roll Back, Kasop, Tiku Wabu, and Jussius, which means we still have 4 players trying to play spoiler.
Yeah, those 4 players who are not yet live are all going to be looking to get a first place finish so that no one can win this round because they want a chance to win it the following game. However, we should take a moment. You were given a shout out a couple of times earlier in the broadcast about leaving some reviews for Fairy Tale Fables. Definitely, if you feel so inclined, please do go leave some reviews on Steam. Apparently, also iOS and Android reviews, those would go a particularly long way. So if you can find it in your heart to go in on either, I guess it would be the App Store or whatever the Android equivalent of that is. I'm showing my iOS userness here. That would be much, much appreciated.
Yeah, I don't know how many mobile players we have joining us today, but fun fact, Give Free Rollback is primarily a mobile player and has been a very dominant one. Matter of fact, we were spectating Give Free Rollback in game number 1, while Give Free Rollback was indeed playing on mobile. So yeah, if you are a mobile gamer, or even if you've just downloaded that, be sure to leave a review there. That would be fantastic. Horse, I know it's different time zones for some of these different players, so we don't want to keep them any longer than we have to. If the players are ready, I say we get straight to it.
Yep, and we're looking to take a look at Kaisop this time around, who just went live off the back of that first place, went exactly live, needed the first place to have a chance to clear it out here. But like you mentioned, half of the field is live, Kaisop included here. We're going to start in Kaisop's point of view. This one's going to be exciting.
That can be a fun story that you need to win 2 in a row to take it down, something that Kaisop might be able to do. I will say that we're seeing a little bit of an issue with the stream quality here from Kaisop. We are spectating through Discord. It's the best way for us to do it right now. We're going to stay with Kaisop for now. We may change if we absolutely need to, but I hope we don't, because as we're talking about this storyline, it would be a fun one to get to watch. And speaking of fun, Phantom of the Opera, Horse.
You need first, Yuck. Good Leprechaun could do it. I don't trust the Ugly Duckling myself. Morgan, I mean, if you're going to take a hit or miss, I think I'd take Phantom of the Opera over Morgan. But Kaisop wants Phantom. Doesn't matter what I think.
Yeah, there are some incredible combos that you can hit. You do start with -3 health, but no risk, no reward.
You start with -3 health, and you don't have a hero power until much later. And then even the heroes that usually wait to get their hero power value, they usually get it before you do on Phantom. Phantom is one of the slowest heroes in the entire game. However, when it finally gets its hero power value, it could be incredibly powerful, and you might set yourself up in a situation where you're not losing fights for a while.
I see a treasure hamster. It looks like that's Give Free Rollback on Artemis. Give Free Rollback is one of the players that's live. I'm curious who's on the treasure hamster, because that's another hero that can be quite greedy, but with a lot of potential payoff.
Yeah, Give Free Rollback. Definitely live. I wonder who was our treasure hamster. That is a first place kind of hero pick. So, wonder if it's someone who's live. Artemis is definitely just a smooth early game kind of hero. You don't expect to take a lot of damage right off the bat. So looks like Give Free Rollback is saying, let my hero handle the early game. I'll handle the late game.
Okay, so there is a 1-cost item in the shop, which is often very, very good when you have 3 gold. It's a way to utilize all of your gold. However, the owl plus the spell is also a combo.
Yeah, I think if we're taking the owl, we must be taking the spell, right? No, we're not going to favor the scaling on the owl immediately. We're going to just wait. Now, what are we locking for here?
I think we must be, yeah, if we're locking, it must be for the hot potato, which I think would be fine if there was a second thing we wanted in that shop. Like, even if it's just something mediocre, but I don't think we really want either of these other 2 options. And the potential to find a free spell next turn seems like
we would just be better off not liking this shop, and Kasop agrees.
We're really going to be leaning on this tracking dog to help us tie up fights, because with a couple of 2-1s, these opening shop options have not been incredibly powerful on board, and we're just going to be really hoping to maintain a little bit of health for the time being, and it's just enough. Tracking dog coming in.
Yeah, it is. And no free spell, and no pairs in the shop. Nothing
No obvious synergies.
Yeah, nothing incredibly exciting out of this shop. Be curious where we go with this one. You can maybe justify Dwarfy plus the item. I mean, I don't love that. It's just one option that I see. It's like we're considering the imp here.
Just pick up the Cat Angel for
Okay.
whatever stats it's got. Yeah, it's a little bit bigger statted than most units on level 2 here. I was wondering about maybe picking up the Sleeping Cat as your second buy. I think we're just making the best of what we can, but we don't love taking an extra point of damage right now.
I mean, in reality, I think we could have each taken turns just saying everything that we see or like is an option, because there was no option that seemed better than any other option really to me.
Yeah.
It just seemed like you just have to play what you're offered. Kasop going to go with the biggest stat straight out of the shop, which makes sense on Phantom. If you can protect your health, you're just hoping to hit that home run when you get to choose your pair of captains. And I'm very anxious to see what that's going to be, but we don't get to see it yet. We don't get to see it next turn, but it's getting closer and closer.
Well, the good news is we have not taken any damage in combat so far. We did take a damage buying that small imp, but again, we did not take damage in combat. And maybe that Harbinger is on the menu here, or maybe it's Bird and Cursed Rose?
Yeah, second Owl plus the Cursed Rose is pretty interesting to me. And
it's a little awkward because they're going to take a few turns to get useful.
Yeah, they're not strong yet. Yet being the key word, though.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. Maybe by next turn, Cursed Rose. Maybe we get another good pickup next turn and can even afford to play a spell potentially. We do still have the item, which we could always sell for that 1 extra gold whenever we decide we need it.
We're definitely playing with an eye for the future now, for, having big, powerful characters through the mid game by getting the Bird over the Harbinger. The Harbinger was objectively more power on the board right now.
Yeah. And
with a hero like this, where you want to maintain your health, and Kaisop's been doing so well doing that, a lot of times you look at options like that and think, yeah, that's what I need to do. I'll be not greedy now, and that should free me up to be a little greedier later. But Kaisop doesn't want to wait forever, and you can't wait forever. At some point, you have to do something, and that Cursed Rose did so much work against Warship's hamster board.
Yeah, we talked about who was potentially playing the hamster. Turns out that's Satan Warship, and you're right. Sometimes it's hard to value the Cursed Rose properly, because how good is it against your opponent? In that case, the 1 AoE damage was pretty massive. And there's Ice Ring, which is another spell played every turn. That's great.
Did you see Kaisop look at the match read all for a second? That Matryoshka doll on this hero in particular could be extra valuable in that you might grab yourself something like an amateur something combo, grab that level 4 treasure, get immediate value, and then the turn after you flip into Fisher King and somebody, and then you're lined up for a free level 5 treasure. Now, granted, the Ice Ring was a pretty obviously good thing here with our Cursed Rose and our Apprentice Owl. It's useful. And the double AoE is going to be handy against a lot of these boards. Now, our Tracking Dog, unfortunately, won't get to do anything.
Yeah, I think both options were worth considering. You're right, the doll here, because sometimes, as you mentioned, your set of captains gives you a benefit immediately. It could be a Sundiata, and you get the Ascendance immediately. The Ascendance immediately. It could be any number of things. We opt for the Blizzard. It's going to give us some guaranteed value for sure. And next turn, we're going to figure out who our heroes are going to be. And I like this spot. I kept talking about mages last game. Maybe this turns into a bit of a mage game.
I'm so curious who our hero swap options are. Now, I imagine we should have taken a point of damage at some point here. Oh, wow. Stonehenge Druid also with the Ice Ring. And not getting damaged again. Just tying another fight. Midas Sphinx, Sundiata, Toy Dino, Fafnir, Little Match Girl, or a doubled Leprechaun. Huh.
Yeah, I think Mimic Leprechaun probably not going to be the choice.
Well,
Sphinx can do some things when you have an owl on board. I think I might lean towards Sundiata Dano. Dano giving you a little bit extra tempo with hero attack. And then Sundiata, at this stage, you might be able to hold it for a little bit longer and find a really great character to use Ascendance on.
I think I'm with you. Sunday out of Dino feels like the one that makes the most sense to me, and Kaisop appears to agree.
Yep.
So we're not level 4 yet. That'll be next turn. I think we might just want to find another Cursed Rose, maybe an Acolyte if we could this turn.
Just imagine next turn in the opening shop we see a Book Mage.
Oh,
Okay,
I think we'd be buying that.
I mean, I'm just
That feels
saying.
like something I'd want to buy.
And would you use Ascendance on it, or do you want to hold Ascendance for even later into the game? That's what I'm wondering.
Nah, because I wouldn't have it because I've already ascended this chameleon. Yeah.
Okay, I like your style.
You can't ascend a book mage if you already used your ascendance.
All right, yeah, I want to bounce off of that comment and have something to say, but okay, no, I just agree. I have nothing else to add.
Well, we did not find any of the things I was thinking we might want to find here.
Yeah.
There is a future vision that there's no shot we're going to lock for. So we'll turn 1 golden into 2 next turn.
Okay. Well, here's Tikuwabu, one of the live players playing amateur. Our Blizzard helped them out with that yellow bark. And that yellow bark.
Yellow bark is sunbathing, so the Blizzard isn't actually doing any damage.
Yep. Blizzard didn't do any damage, but we were able to deal a little bit of damage. There's a Cursed Rose.
Yeah, it turns out that Mycroft and that Golden Owl are pretty handy in the back corner. The stream quality.
Yeah, I'm really hoping this stream quality. I don't know. What do you think, Horace? I really want to watch from Caso's perspective, but
it's been holding up just enough to make me go, I want to keep watching. You know,
me
and
too.
then every now and then there's a glitch, and I'm like, oh, well, that's a little bit too much. But
just as I was thinking, maybe this is like too much where we need to pivot away, then it comes back. So, all right, well, we're still in there for now. We don't take a pair of the pair of Cursed Rose. I don't see a Book Mage, not yet at least.
Yeah, okay, gonna take a Duelist. Those are handy in a lot of scenarios, so I guess that makes sense to me.
I see a couple Horse Thieves.
There is a pair of Horse Thieves in there. A little bit of thievery in this here shop. There's also, you could just trade out your hot potato for a crab. The Horse Thief joins the board. We're just going to eat bird stats, huh? We're not going to take anything away from the Mycroft here?
Yeah, I wonder.
I think we're still thinking.
Yeah, we still have some time here to figure this out. Are we ever considering selling? We do have an item, 1 character in hand. Yeah, I think we're thinking about selling for the other Horse Thief here. I don't know that we're going to do it, but I think there maybe was at least a little bit of consideration.
I think so, too. But
it is awkward though when you have the Duelist. It just didn't make sense. Maybe there wasn't even any thought there. I was thinking about it though.
I always you can't stop me from playing a slot down if I'm like, I could have something right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's something that gains stats. So you put it on your board now and it helps it later. So it's hard not to do that. That is a really big parrot.
Ayane's parrot never got to attack. It had just enough health that all of the various Ice Rings effects, including Ayane's own Cursed Rose Ice Ring effect, just stopped the parrot from getting to go. Because that was a double level 2 treasure Sinbad for Ayane there, and one of them was Slaying School, so that parrot got more attack.
It had so much attack.
Yeah, I don't think we want the healing spell. We've seen a couple of Huskies get picked up because they're just big. Nope, not the game plan here. More potatoes. You know what's on the menu? Potatoes.
Well, it's quite nice to be at 26 health when you started with Phantom and didn't have really any hero power in the early game. That part is nice. I'm really just wondering at this point, though, where does that Ascendance get used? Because if we've still got it next turn, feels like it's going to be hard to justify playing it on anything before you go to level 5. But then when you get to level 5, does this board lend itself to anything specific? There are some good options. Like, would you use it on a haymaker, on a crystal sage? Do you try to hold it for level 6 at that point? But that feels too greedy. But
You
maybe it's
might
not.
you might use it on a Gretel, honestly.
Sure. Okay.
With this combo of heroes here and with a Mycroft already on the board,
Well,
maybe.
would you use it on a Watson? You do have a duelist.
Maybe. Honestly, yeah. I
Yeah.
think with Toy Dino in the mix, getting an early Watson, getting an early Golden Watson especially,
Yeah, it's a
that could
great
be kind of
point.
spicy.
Toy Dino with 4 attacks. That yeah, hunters could absolutely work here. Okay, so I would mostly expect to wait to use the Ascendants until level 5. We'll see if Calsop finds anything to change that plan. A Golden Horse Thief would maybe be something we would like to pick up next turn.
Well, Zillilag showing us a little sunbathing I saw in the preview here. Now, the Sunflower is not sunbathing, so it's not sending stats back. That's the second Chameleon into Oberon we've seen.
It
Zillilag had some
is.
stars over there, right?
Hey, you know what's better than a chameleon?
What?
Well, nothing. But in this case, a ranged chameleon, because
Did you just
Artemis
set
has
me up?
ranged slot 1. No,
Okay,
I
yeah,
mean,
no, that is pretty
I,
great.
I had to start with nothing because nothing is better than a chameleon, but a ranged chameleon, I guess, sort of is better.
I mean, it is technically the same thing, almost. Oh, no.
All right, Horse. How about this? How about we swap over to Give Free Roll back, who we just saw play the chameleon. I
Yeah,
want to keep watching Calsop.
I think I'm
Um,
with you.
I'm pretty invested in this one, but the quality is just a little too much all over the place. So let's go to Give Free Roll back.
Oh, picking up a magnifying glass right as we leave. I think Kaisop's at least thinking about hunters. But we'll have to admire Kaisop from a distance. We are now taking a peek into Give Free Rollback's game, and we saw some sunlight going on.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bright, bright, sunshiny day, my friend.
Yeah. We saw Give Free Roll back in the first game here in day 2, playing with the Sunstone. And I don't know when it was picked up here, but it seems that it's a priority, and taking advantage of the newest ability is nice.
I am glad that we immediately got to see this, though, because I was really curious. I thought Give Free Rollback had some stars already going, and sure enough, there was a puck. It was a puck the whole time that was doing the stars. But, with a Moth and an Oberon, you're pretty happy with this little setup already, I think.
Yeah, I'm still so curious to see what Kassop might use that Ascendance on. But yeah, now we'll start to get invested in this board. It's an interesting board. It's a big cat angel that's going to have range thanks to the hero ability.
So Warship is on a fluff board, not looking super healthy, and Jussius is playing Daedalus, also not looking super healthy. Couple of games not coming together quite right, but things change pretty quick around here. You can get the right couple of things, and all of a sudden your board looks a lot better than it just did.
That is true.
We got Tikuwabu's Amateur with a couple of decently statted parrots, but slot 1 big stats here for Give Free Rollback, working quite well for this fight. And Oberon, pretty good pickup.
Yeah, really good pickup. And Tikuwabu does have a Chrono Crystal, but knocked down to 8 health. I wonder how many Chrono Crystals have been played here in day 2 total.
That would be a fun running stat. Also, if you win a lobby without ever having a Chrono Crystal, does that give you bragging rights?
Listen, I understand why people take it. It's so strong, but we just keep saying it over and over and over. It's understandable. Here's an Oberon and a Titania. Are we all in on the stars with just a puck?
I don't know if anything has changed in a way. It used to be to me that Oberon and Titania often didn't play in the same stars board. They played in different style stars boards, and Titania is so awkward here with how slow the puck is to generate any stars.
Well, I believe it's that when you have Shooting Star, the level 5 treasure, they don't work well together. But I think generally that they work quite well together. We may be in the market for a Bluebell now at this point if we see one.
I guess maybe I'm still stuck back in the past, but I'm thinking a lot about like Uther style boost boards want Titania and Starchild in the back. And then if I'm building Shooting Star boards, then I may or may not care about Titania, but I definitely care about Oberon.
Sure.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm curious where this one goes, but yeah, I could see another puck or a Bluebell, Starchild potentially. There are some options from here. Let's not overlook the fact that Give Free Roll Back is still on 28 health.
Well, we also saw, I don't recall, we just saw Ayane as the Sinbad, who's our next opponent. I think Ayane might have had an ice ring. We know Kaisop does.
Mm-hmm.
Give Free Roll Back is still sunbathing a yellow bark, so anybody Give Free Roll Back runs into, Free Roll's gonna love those blizzards.
Yep. Great point that you make here. All right, we're just a few seconds away from getting into our fight against Sinbad, and I gotta say, if somebody doesn't deal damage to Give Free Roll Back soon, that might just leave too much room for decision making here.
Yeah, the young Tengu takes out Titania, so we don't get that many stars. One of the Oberon falls, but it's still enough power. Ayane's got a Chrono Crystal to go along with the Magnifying Glass Slaying School there. And more star tech being offered.
That's another piece that you're in the opening shop of the turn. As soon as we load back into the shop, there's a piece that you want immediately. That's a great start to the turn. You're only left with 6 gold, and now after refreshing the shop down to 5, considering a High Demon.
High Demon, not an obvious synergy on this board to me, but okay.
Yeah, maybe trolling us, but maybe some sneaky play and Give Free Roll Back does come up with some creative builds for sure.
I think you're right, though, Yuck. Not putting pressure on Free Roll at this moment in this game is going to be a big problem for everybody in a few turns. Yeah. There's a double Star Child shop.
Okay.
I think we're getting a Star Child. We got a dagger for it, too.
Yep. Yeah. I mean...
what about deal with the devil on this shop?
Oh, yes. Great call.
We were Future Vision, so we were ahead of level 6, and now we've dropped below level 6, and now we're going to drop further back into level 5, but you get 2 Star Children immediately.
I mean, you do really want the triple Oberon and Titania, but it just delays you for 1 turn, but it also makes it more likely you can find the Golden Star Child. I like this a lot. I'm all in on that play, and it's not one that I immediately saw.
So this run out, right? We had a Artemis slot 1 ranged chameleon into an Oberon with a puck already on and a moth already on the board. So we went, okay, we have some stars. We can take advantage of that. And then we future visioned into another Oberon, 2 Titanias. We lost our future vision, immediate 2 Star Children. We watched some games play out where people could not find what they were looking for turn after turn after turn on level 6. Meanwhile, Give Free Roll Back was just within 2 turns given an entire stars comp, basically. Maybe 3 turns if you count the chameleon the turn before, but
yeah, you're spot on. That's exactly what I was thinking. You kind of beat me to it here. I think stars boards are very difficult to judge the strength of here. You look at the stats, and the stats don't look incredible, but then when you get to the stars, they can just clear out entire boards, and they make your opponent really need to play summons a lot of the time. So we'll see who in the lobby can pick up on that, maybe start... even if it doesn't fit their original game plan, start picking up some things that can absorb some of the stars damage.
Well, the one thing Give Free Roll Back might struggle with early on would be a summons board, but a board like Stonehenge has over there just doesn't have enough bodies to absorb the stars, and the stars have plenty of power with the Oberons back there. And I did notice GG's to data list the turn prior. Now, looking at lobby health, 4 people not looking very healthy. Freya looking ever so slightly healthier than an amateur who's not looking very healthy. And Give Free Roll Back just kind of hanging out with all the star people. Just kind of relaxing.
Yeah. I mean, this turn kind of just hanging out in general, because since we went back down to level 5, mostly a star child, we did pick up like an item, and we've spent a little bit of gold, but... didn't really expect this turn to be a super impactful one.
I just realized, as I said, all the star people, we don't really have a word that accurately describes. I know we call it's the stars comp, right? It's a star strategy, but maybe they're the cosmic comp. What is...
Okay.
What are all these? The Star Child, the Titania, the Oberon, they all work together. They go to the same office every day.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I have no reason to come up with or no ideas to suggest to come up with anything different than what you're suggesting. So let's just go with that.
We call them the Celestials. I don't know. Anyway, not important. What is important is we got a lot of stars.
Yeah, and we got a ghost fight, and that means that nobody's applying pressure to get free roll back, who is much healthier than anybody else in the lobby, is not in final form here on board, but I'd say is maybe going to be very tough for these other players to deal with, because I mentioned when you see a stars board in the lobby, you might need to look to pick up summons, things that can absorb star damage. But if you're low health, can you afford to do that? Because you can't only play around one opponent when there are still 7 players in the lobby, or even when there are 4 players in the lobby. You have to play against whoever your next opponent is sometimes. And yeah, I want to say the Get Free Rollback is in a great spot right now.
Get Free Rollback definitely just lingered there for a while on Tikuwabu's Hunter board. Tikuwabu has 2 duelists summoning in 2 portal wardrobes. So that is the only thing that I saw in the scout that could actually absorb these stars, and then maybe Tikuwabu would have enough left on the board to give the rest of the star board trouble. That's the only board I saw right now that looked like it was half prepared for this.
So you mentioned a little while ago about the boost version of stars, which is a great version. It feels like we're quite far away. We are very healthy. We did see, was it Tikuwabu that we saw? Who was it? Or I'm trying to remember now which player it was, but we did see a boost comp that was gotten into a little bit late, and it never quite came together. But it looks like Get Free Rollback is gonna see if it comes together here to build the boost stars.
And there's an Uther in there too, so not interested. There's a Guinevere.
Yeah.
How about we immediately find the 2 best boost cards in the game? Oh, and we're gonna use Moth instead of the Oberons now.
Okay.
This is the boost way. Oberon is only adding 80% of its attack by base, and then Moth is okay. Hang on, I got the collection up. I kind of want to see, because clearly Zillalag's done this math. We got a double Moth effect versus 2 individual Oberon effects. And Zillalag says, "Let's do double Moth."
Yeah, and made that decision instantly. It felt like there was no thought whatsoever. It just knew what the plan was as soon as the Guinevere showed up.
So that Moth is 100% by default. When it's not upgraded, goes up to 200% with the Guinevere on the Star Child that is getting boosted by both. And then, of course, so it's got to be more power than the Oberon here.
Yep, and shuffling positioning around, now has Star Child in 1 and 2. Okay, I mean, I thought the next big power spike might be hitting one of these triples, but in fact, this is probably even more scary, and it opens up even more things to look for. So you're not so stuck hoping the shop gives you what you want, but you know, just more likely basically that you're going to find something that you're happy to pick up.
You asked how many Chrono Crystals got played today. I wonder how many Merlin Guinevere's got played today too.
I'll say more Chrono Crystals than Merlin and Guinevere combined. That
I think that's a safe bet. Synesthesia can handle these stars. There are a lot of Harbingers. We got double Archdemon already. And a shielded, the back protector's shield also eats a star too. I don't know that Synesthesia has enough to win this fight, but it's the right kind of thing to absorb some of this damage.
Yeah, it ends up being close. Not enough hero attack to be able to get through the last bit of health on this board. And yeah, Guinevere just straight away. Great pickup here. Now 6 gold left. Can we find one more thing this turn? Wow. Yes, we can.
Wow. Okay. I think we want this. And when I say I think we want this. Bottled Lightning. I don't think it's Merlin's staff, but who knows? Give Free Roll knows some stuff. I feel like I don't know.
Yeah.
Bottled Lightning, Pirate Save, both good.
Well, yeah, Bottled Lightning also with Artemis, so it's extra damage on Star Child, which is extra star damage, and then it also has range thanks to Artemis. Seems like a pretty good pickup. Gets even better as you gain even more attack into slot 1. Maybe a Golden Star Child or something else could potentially get played there in the future. But yeah, Pirate Save also could have been an option. The thing with Pirate Save, you could be extremely happy with the outcome, but you don't know, and you got to wait a couple of turns.
Yeah, I gotta imagine shields would be good, but that bottled lightning would have been hard to ignore here. The bottled lightning is
Well,
just good.
and talking about a couple of turns, look at the health in the lobby.
Oh, true.
I mean, how many turns are left in this one? It's hard to tell. There could be a lot, right? But also, we could see 3 people knocked out this round, and then next round go into it with 3 people potentially on low enough health that they could be knocked out. So, I mean, there could potentially only be like 3 turns left, even though there are 7 people still in this one.
Yeah, if you have the opportunity to apply pressure right now, it does
Yeah.
make a lot of good sense to apply some pressure right now. And we're going up against a fluff board that I think is going to struggle with the stars. The last patch, fluff scaling got slowed down ever so slightly. All the fluffs kind of took like a base stat nerf, so it takes a little longer. I don't know if the scalar effects themselves went down, so that I don't think that necessarily changed, but fluff's got a slight speeding ticket.
Fluffs go fast.
They were going real fast the patch prior. A little too well. They're approaching Yukmouth speeds, and that's a little terrifying for a fluff board.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a big Blackbeard already over there.
Yeah, it is. But these stars are going to be so big.
That Blackbeard can only absorb 1 star fully, and the remainder of the stars will take out everything else when they finally shoot here.
Yep.
And not quite a draw. GG Warship does not have Chrono Crystal.
So close. I mean, not a lot of health on this moth, but this moth has survived a couple of fights now on low health because the hero attack couldn't clean it up and the opponent couldn't get through it. That's enough to deal damage. I said we could have lost a few players there. Somehow we still have 6 players. I don't know if Chrono Crystal was potentially involved or maybe there were some ties that happened, but a little bit surprised to still see 6 people and Golden Guinevere.
Are we ditching Oberon? We are. Yeah, you could kind of tell Gifford Roll was not super interested in Oberon. Magic Scarf, huh? When you're already doubling with an aura and you're Merlining with an aura and you want some more auras? I think we want some more auras.
Yeah, look how much bigger that slot 1 gets here, and opting to put the good boy potentially in slot 1 to take extra advantage of that. Not to mention, because of Artemis, it's ranged in slot 1. That's another good turn. I feel like this one, and you talked about this just a little while ago, this is one where it feels like every turn we're improving our board. Where we've watched, so many games so far today where it felt like players were struggling to improve from one turn to the next.
Yeah, sometimes these shops just do not. It makes it fairly clear what you want, like the game that we watched and we were just on that Merlin Guinevere hunt and we couldn't seem to find a Guinevere or Merlin to save our lives. Sometimes these shops just do not want to work with you.
Yep.
I wonder about the Cersei's Cup. I keep looking at it. You don't necessarily in top 6 want to lock a cup, but it could be potentially top 3 next fight. You keep mentioning how low half the lobby is on health. Well, now it's 5 out of 6 people are in 1-shot range. Yeah. So you might actually be in top 3 next round and be pretty happy having a cup to start things off. I don't know. We've been improving our board steadily, like you pointed out. And also, it hasn't felt like we're a mile ahead in any of these combats to me. We have been tidily cleaning up the fights and winning, but it feels like we still need to keep improving too.
Yeah, I don't think we locked the Cersei's Cup. Too many people still alive in this lobby. I mean, they could go, out right here and be down to the top 3. But then also there are a number of things we're looking for. It's not like it's one thing that we're looking for and it's unlikely to find. There are still several things that we would want to pick up from the shop. So I think we want to see shops and spend our gold for long-term power.
This has to be so good now that we've taken less of the pressure of our board strength from the stars. We didn't generate the biggest stars we possibly could have this combat. We put a little bit more oomph into the good boy. And against this particular board, the stars are as big as they needed to be. And now these good boy stats are going to come in super handy for the second half of the fight.
Yep. Yeah, that was a strong board against the stars because of the summons. And Horsethief, somehow we still have 6 players. What?
Yeah, okay. I think I said we could be in top 3. We're not in top 3.
Okay. Well, good players are going to find a way to be resilient, I suppose.
Were there 3 draws? I mean, someone might have lost a Chrono Crystal, but it's also possible that there were just 3 draws on turn 15.
I don't know. It's interesting for sure, though.
Well, not only did we not want to lock the cup the last turn, we rolled by one here. We weren't looking for it. We're looking for other stuff right now. There's a good boy pair, moth pair.
Yeah.
Definitely time. Yep. We identified things that we're interested in. Time to scout.
Yep. Okay, curious to see what we do with our remaining 5 gold here. Grabbing the moth, and then we're still going to lock for the good boy potentially.
Debating between slot 13 and slot 14 on the bench. Don't put the moth in the wrong slot.
Yeah.
Well, Synesthesia is our next opponent. Had a pirate safe Chrono Crystal on 1 HP. That Chrono Crystal could be gone. That was their last turn, so that could explain what happened with our triple tie possible scenario. If they still have the Chrono Crystal, I'm gonna laugh though.
Yeah, I mean this lobby, just looking at the health totals alone has been an experience, because you just think for sure, like, you can't even see the health bar on a couple of these players. It's not even there, and yet they're still in it somehow.
Whoever the Toy Dino Sundiata combo. Wait, was that's Kaisop, isn't it?
Yeah,
we never even got
yep.
to see what the Ascendants ascended, did we?
At this point, it might be hard to tell, but no, we did not get to see that.
Oh man! But that's the negative health bar right there. Somehow they bugged the game. They're actually on -2, and they get to keep playing.
Okay, let's see.
It's another evil archdemon scam kind of board.
Good boy got hit with Taylor.
There's 6 total demon harbingers. I feel like we're still okay without the good boy stats. Those harbingers are gonna get the star children.
I don't know, but our back row now does very little. Our back row is small. We do still get there. That was so close. And Synesthesia, Savitri still in there. We are down to 4 though.
Wow. Top 4 indeed. I wonder if Synesthesia just swapped into Savitri. I wasn't paying close enough attention, but got that extra life, survived an extra turn. That could be incredibly meaningful for the rest of this round here.
I'm curious who else is still in this one. I haven't tracked closely who's playing what. We know for sure Kaisop is knocked out, who was one of the players that was live. Give free roll back, we're spectating is live. And then Tikuabu and Jussius, which is that's not either one of the 2 players. So I wonder who's the amateur. We'll have to look and see. It may be that the only live player is the one we're spectating.
It could be. Stonehenge is our Freya. Well, I'm sure Give Free Roll is going to be taking a look at everybody again here shortly. I mean, how do you even, if that is the case, if it's 3v1 and, you know, the one is the only one who is currently live, how do you even stop Give Free Roll back at this point? You can't really.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, this board is not complete yet, which...
No.
I don't know if that's scary or if that's a good thing for the other players. I mean, it's not like you want your opponent to have their board complete, but if their board is not complete and they continue to improve it and they're still at 28 health and faring quite well, maybe that's more scary.
It's so wild here too that Give Free Roll back has so many good options in this board, wherein like you would normally think, oh, I've got one good boy I want to play too, so I give a chance for one good boy to buff the other one to buff everybody else, and that looked good. And we had that positioning for a moment, but then Give Free Roll back thought about it a little bit and went, well, no, but actually second Merlin would be pretty sweet. Maybe we don't need the second Star Child. This board looks good.
Well, you know what I found funny? Look at the good boy on the bench as a 0-1. When that was in slot 1 with the dagger and the bottle lightning and the magic scarf, it was huge.
Yeah.
But it's not actually that big. It's already lost its stats to the dagger.
Stonehenge opting to play a succubus, which I didn't see on the board before the fight or during the scout. People are respecting what Give Free Roll has built here and putting some scam down. That Witch Queen Hecate can actually absorb a full star.
Yeah, and these summons are absorbing these stars, which is perfect for Stonehenge in this scenario. But once the stars get to shoot and the good boy stats have already been shared, there's just not a lot you can do there for Stonehenge. And we're in the top 2.
So that is Tikuwabu. Wait a minute. Wait a
is
minute,
it?
Horse.
Tikuwabu was playing our amateur, huh?
This is the last game. This is it. This is the top two. Both of these players are live. So it's going to be Give Free Rollback or Tikuwabu, which honestly is the storyline, right? Last month, Give Free Rollback won 3 in a row, won the tournament. Okay. This month, Tikuwabu won game 1, won game 2, could have gone 3 in a row, but was stopped, was unable to do so. Now it comes down to who's going to win. Is it going to be Give Free Rollback or Tikuwabu? They've both been very dominant. Yeah, let's see. There's a Cersei's Cup. Now it starts to look very interesting.
Well, and here's another thing. Give Free Rollback, the only multi-tournament winner so far. Tikuwabu could become the second. Or Give Free Rollback could remain the only one here. Wow. All right. I didn't expect... I'm kind of happy we weren't totally sure. We got to figure it out in the moment here that it is the final game.
Yeah. I will say it would look quite nice to see a third crown there above the Euro. I mean, two is super cool. It's impressive. Yeah. It's amazing. But that third one, it would just look complete, would it not?
Oh, the symmetry. The symmetry, dude. Yeah, yes, totally.
Yes, symmetry is important. Wait, there's a Chrono Crystal still active for Tikuwabu. Well,
you won't be KOing Tikuwabu fast. Now, the question I have, those hunter stats have gotten pretty good. Now, we're not looking at triple-digit attack, though, on Tikuwabu's amateur. And that's usually where I start to feel like the hunter boards are really coming together, is when I see 3-digit attack numbers. It's kind of going to be interesting. I'm not sure between the good boy stat share, which we saw is incredibly useful throughout the last few combats, versus just having a lot of very big starting stats and a couple of very big Blackbeards to start the combat. I feel like Tikuwabu can fight back here.
Are we not locking for Cersei's Cup?
I don't think we are.
It seems good against that. I mean, it seems good against most things, but yeah, it looks like we're not. Okay, very interesting. And I want to say Tikuwabu probably healed some at some point. I feel like had lower health a little while ago, but 14 health and a Chrono Crystal. This one might go a few rounds.
Yeah, the good boy did not get the Merlin on the back. That's a little awkward. We have 7, basically 800 damage stars. They're enough to take out anything.
Wow.
Well, no, they're not quite enough. They're a little bit below what we needed to take out the Gretel. Tikuwabu's ahead.
Yeah, that's a Golden Star Child, though.
That's going to help us. And that's a double boostering Golden Star Child now. And a Shooting Star. That's not really that helpful, but it doesn't hurt either.
Right? I mean, we don't have an Oberon anymore, though, so... And
yeah, okay.
You don't really need the Shard of Excalibur, because maybe if you just take the extra gold, you can find the Golden Merlin, for instance.
Yeah, I'm taking that. I'm taking my initial excitement about the Shooting Star back. It wasn't really that good. I'm glad we just took the money and ran.
Yep.
Well,
okay. Golden Good Boy.
Well.
Yeah.
-1 potato, +1 dog. Doppelganger, Piece of Infinity, Merlin's Lessons. I am not shocked that it's a pretty quick doppelganger. Now, how is it going to be utilized?
Yeah, regardless of what goes in that starter slot to get doppelganger used on it, it is worth mentioning that the Artemis ability is also copied, so it will mean ranged for slot 1 and for slot 2.
Well, does it mean range for slot 1 and slot 2 when you double from slot 2? I don't think it does.
So maybe prioritizing the boost here.
Well, but also, I think it was a little awkward. You like the range good boy, but also you kind of want the good boy popping too. So maybe it's more beneficial now that we have 2 that the first one does run in immediately and is not ranged.
Ooh, yeah, maybe. But also, if you can control the buffs to land on the characters in the back row, that seems fairly optimal as well. I trust whatever Give Free Roll back does here. I'm not questioning it in any way, but yeah, the potential to be able to get ranged on a second character seems nice, but maybe not actually a priority here. And I have to be honest, I'm assuming it does not get ranged when you position this way, but I'm not 100% sure.
Well, and we are... Oh, no.
Did I just see 5% battery?
Give Free Roll back. Do you have a charger nearby?
Okay, I think we're charging. Mentioned a little while ago, Give Free Roll back is a mobile player. We're spectating while Give Free Roll back is playing on mobile. And yeah, we just saw, luckily caught
I was not
5%.
expecting that drama, yuck. Oh, but when you double it into slot 1 and then it gets oh man,
Yeah, it
because it
gets the
gets
extra
all the
stats.
boost stats and then it gets
Mhm.
extra stats on top of that. Yeah, I mean this right here, Give Free Rollback is saying I can handle you in a stats battle
Yep,
with this because
exactly.
we even got rid of we don't get a full complement of stars anymore, but Give Free Rollback is right. This
Yeah.
does work in a stats battle.
Of course, it makes perfect sense now. I hadn't even really thought it all the way through because I was just stuck on thinking that Artemis value can be extra useful. But yeah, when you have the Magic Scarf Bottled Lightning, yeah, just get all those extra stats. And not only can you win with stats, you can win convincingly with stats when doing it this way. And there's an ascendance, so sure, why not? We're already ahead. Make sure that we find something that helps us, and now we're likely even further ahead. Still a chrono crystal active, but
Mhm.
I think that might be in danger of getting popped this turn and next turn. I don't know if Tikuwabu can't come up with something, and I wonder if you need to start looking to pick up a Taylor or something to try to deal with this good boy.
Yeah, celery tea is probably very much on the menu with the double good boy starting. If you could get the one that ends up in slot 1, you could take away so many stats from the combat. I mean, whether you like it or not at this point, I think this is kind of what we're doing if you're Give Free Rollback. I like the
Yeah.
double checking if Titania was better than Merlin, but because we got so much of an emphasis on these boost rings, the extra Wise Merlin is just more boost instances for us.
Yeah, I'm also thinking through the fact that we are somewhat scammable. So a Cersei's Cup or some type of transform, like you're talking about Celery Tea or Taylor, could really take a lot of stats away from us. And we have 16 health, so we could, survive one loss, but a couple of good fights. Uh, I don't think this one is locked up by any means. Give free roll
No,
back looking far ahead, but certainly doesn't have this one locked up.
it's one of those like if a Cersei's Cup and a Celery Tea take out both good boys, I don't think Give Free Rollback will ever take a full board's worth of damage because the stars will clean up at least something.
Mm-hmm.
But the stars are not enough to win a fight at this point. Yeah, like you said, I don't think it's locked up either. But I think Give Free Rollback is in a commanding position at the moment.
Okay, let's start off by seeing is there a Cersei's Cup played by Tiku Wabu? There is not. Hermes Blessing, but no Cersei's Cup.
The loss of Merlin makes the
Yeah.
numbers have to do a little dance because they don't know where to go anymore. They don't know what they're doing. Well, we got, again, not quite. I think we were close to 3K on our back line. It didn't go quite as perfectly this time, but it's going to be
Yeah.
enough with a ranged Merlin to pop the Chrono Crystal.
I mean, that's what we expected. If the good boys aren't disrupted some way, we win. I mean, it was one character, but that one character had a lot of stats left, so it was pretty convincing, I would say.
I wonder if we were going for a Savitri here, just as a
I
extra
don't think
pocket.
so. I don't know what we were going for specifically. Maybe an Aladdin, to be honest.
Well, what we got was -1 gold.
Yeah.
Spent 5, got 4 back.
Well, possibly more importantly, -2 mana. So now we have no mana.
True.
For the remainder of this turn for any type of spell. But
Or some of those expensive doubler items that we'd probably be happy with, or the legendary boost ring that we definitely would be happy with. That's the
True.
spell book. Oh, double boost. Well, we wouldn't have been able to afford that.
Right. Looks like maybe we're just gonna lock it in case there is another round. I'm not sure there's gonna be another one.
Well, it's like we've been saying, it's like you've been saying, it's what we've noticed. I think Tiku Wabu could have taken that fight if one or two of those good boys, if two of those good boys get disrupted, I think Tiku Wabu takes the fight easily. If just one of them got disrupted, it was close enough at the end of the combat.
I think the big one, if the one right here that we're looking at in slot 2 gets disrupted, I don't know if that's enough. But I think if slot 1 good boy is transformed somehow, I think that might be enough for Tiku Wabu.
I tend to agree. And here we do the Titania Merlin dance. Oh, we're going to go with Titania this time around. So we'll get some bigger stars. And it should also force more buffs to the back.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think it's actually about controlling where the good boy buffs go more than anything here. You want to play a non-good character there. I like that decision.
Fire Mage has been teched in, and Fire
Oh,
Mage coming up big.
oh.
However, I don't know
Wait,
that it's
oh,
enough.
and the
Wait
Taylor.
a minute.
Yo,
Haha.
yo. I love it. I love it. Two
We
great
don't have enough
players.
stars left to deal with the Grettles.
Two great players going back and forth. This is incredible.
Oh, dude.
Still taking the boost ring. This is why Give Free Roll Back has the back protector on standby and had
Yep.
enough health to force your opponent to show their hand, make you play it. So now, are they still going to have the Fire Mage in there? Because if so, they're in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, now Tikuwabu has to have the foresight to drop the Fire Mage, play only the Taylor, maybe replace Fire Mage with a Celery Tea or something. Oh,
How do you do that, though?
fight,
Like,
that was beautiful.
Yeah, it was beautiful and so well played by Tikuwabu. I love it so much. At the same time, like, it's Tikuwabu. How do you not play the Fire Mage again? It was so important there. I think you have to play it again, even though Tikuwabu is probably, without having any information available, never having seen the chair, but just knowing that Give Free Roll Back is a player who often will have a chair on standby, and a very good player that will recognize the situation. So as Tikuwabu, do you ever assume that it's going to be coming in without any knowledge of that? I mean, I think you're ready to see it, but I don't know that you can force yourself to make any changes. I would expect to see the Fire Mage too.
Now I'm so curious too, because now we can't do the perfect little Guinevere Moth tripling up the damage. It's more than tripling, right? It's 200% times 2. It's like quadrupling the damage of the. You can't do that now. But those stars were actually still useful. We were getting good value from them, but now all of a sudden you have to stop doing star stuff. And are we going to pick up another Merlin here? Is that the game plan?
Horace, this is so much fun. I love tournaments.
I'm loving that this whole entire board has to change at these last moments too. Yeah, this is. I'm with you. I'm with you. This is great, and we're picking up another Merlin, more boost.
Yeah, Star Child was never part of the plan. Are you kidding me?
That good boy now in slot 1 is going to be so much bigger than it just was.
Yeah, massive.
Oh,
right,
do we see a Fire Mage?
Yeah, I think we'll see a Fire Mage, but
yep.
Yeah, we do indeed. Yep.
You can't get rid of it. Oh, a Cersei's Cup, but it doesn't hit a good boy. And the Taylor doesn't hit a good boy. I think that might be.
That's got to be it. There's no way. Like,
it's too many stats. These good boys are going to share. Did not buff the other good boy. Nah, it's done. It's done.
Yeah. All right. Well, I love it. So well played by both players. 3 health only remaining for Give Free Roll Back. Wow. Congratulations. I mean, to both of those players, it almost feels like they both deserve to win. But in fact, Give Free Roll Back is our winner here.
GG, well played. Our only 3-time champ is Give Free Roll Back. Tikuwabu could have made it double and played so smart. Yuck, that was. I wouldn't have asked for a different final than that. Those last 2 turns right there were so wonderful to watch.
Yeah, that made me happy. I mean, the entire thing was fun. We've talked about it multiple times, but Tikuwabu winning game 1 and game 2 already feels like it shouldn't happen very often when you're down to the 8 players that were able to qualify for day 2. That's a tough crowd. But then no, we're not going to end it in 3 games, not even going to end it in 4 games. We go into this one. We didn't even realize initially that our top 2 was Tikuwabu along with Give Free Roll Back. So everything just played out perfectly. I had so much fun today.
Yuck. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling happy. I want to throw out there before we wrap, because once we wrap, this code is turning off, ! Crystals. If you have yet to do that, there is a crystal redeem code good for the duration of this tournament, which is now over. So if you haven't done that yet, sneak that one in there. But yeah, outside of that, I don't want to sit here and linger too much. I am just big congratulations to Give Free Roll Back. And I want to say thanks everybody who came and watched and joined and played along with us today. I had a great time. This was a really fun tournament. And Yuck, thank you. And Livy, thank you. And I just sit here feeling pretty grateful at the moment.
Yeah. Big shout out to Livy, who is doing more than anybody else realizes. You and I certainly know, but Livy, aka production, as you like to call Livy sometimes. So shout out to Livy for sure. Shout out to Lara as well. Lara Lass, always just thoroughly impressed with everything Lara Lass has done and continues to do with Fairy Tale Fables. So again, if you like the game, give it a review, please. Lara would be very appreciative. It's the right thing to do. And thanks for spending your time with us. So Give Free Roll Back. Impressive I'm sure I could probably come up with many more words, but at the end of the day, the most important word that I want to share here is that was just fun. Everything about today was fun. It was fun to watch some of these players and come down to the end the way that it did. So I hope everybody else watching had just as much fun as we did. I hope you have a great remainder of your day, whatever's left of your weekend, and we hope to see you next time. Both been very dominant.